We are going live. It's about time. It's about time. You can all settle in. Of course, we are here. It is 2 p.m. on a Sunday. What else would you be doing other than the Sunday service at this point of the day? The stress of tomorrow is starting to probably weigh in your head a little bit. You know, you have to go to work. You know, that kind of, did I get everything done on Friday that I don't have to do on Monday? Well, relax. You don't have to worry about it. You've got hours. It's only 2 p.m. Hours to go before we have to go. That's about it. Today we're going to celebrate International Women's Day. It's here, look, behind me, IDW, hashtag IDW. International Women's Day is a celebration of all things feminine, or female I suppose. And it's not just about trying to get women to be equal to men in some or another. I firmly believe we should be all just a human race, really. Doesn't matter your colour, your religion, your race, whatever it is, as long as you're a nice person, essentially, is all you really have to be. You will find idiots in every language, pretty much. And the same for women. The women should be treated equally to us, as usual, and we should be treated equally to them. I heard a good quote this morning. A woman said, "We're not looking for special rules, we're looking for the same rules," which I kind of like that one. That's pretty much where my brain is with most of these things. We're already starting to fill up with lots of people coming in already. Robert Mulhall is here since 1:23. Good afternoon. First comment of the day. We like them early ones. They're pretty good. I'm also going to be covering today that a list of other YouTube channels to subscribe to, ones I like. You know, I put that out this morning, and the amount of Irish YouTube channels who texted me in some way, or I hope you give me a shout out, I hope you give me a shout. These people aren't even subscribed to my channel. None of them. I've had no interaction with them at all. Some of them are competitors, essentially, you know, doing the same thing as I'm doing. And they're asking me to give them a shout out. When are they going to give me a shout out? Anyway, these are actual people that I am subscribed to. And you will see me comment on their channels. So it's not all cars, by the way, but I'll come to them later on. John Carney's here. Hi Bob, greetings from my fellow Sunday Service fans. Great content, just keeps getting better and better. Thanks to everyone who makes it what it is. Keep up the good work, Bob. And our moderator, that's Andy, is there somewhere. I think Andy has landed somewhere, I'm not sure. But that's John Carney. John Carney is a driving instructor somewhere around here in Portlaoise, but strays all across the Midland. He's like a stray dog, keeps coming back to where he's coming from. There's my wife collecting her phone that's been charged. I've been digitally charging it all day for International Women's Day. Make sure she's running out of electricity. Very important. And I made her breakfast in bed. See, not even her birthday. Anyway, Steve O.C. Hello everybody. Can't do the Sunday service. What's that? Hello everybody. Can't do the Sunday afternoon without this. Just in with today's subject, check out Bad Obsession Motorsport channel for really detailed fabrication, Celica running gear in a Mini. I was looking at that. I'm actually a subscriber there as well. Bad Obsession Motorsport is really good, eclectic, and a little bit silly. I suppose it's designed to be that way. A lot of channels are. They try and appeal to a younger, more child-friendly audience. I don't think I've ever done that. I don't allow swearing on the channel anyway, and I don't allow anyone to do it live. So I suppose, you know, it's a family channel. I try and keep it at least sort of family orientated wherever possible. There's no females in bikinis or anything draped across the bonnet of cars, which used to happen years ago. Not here, I may add. Shay Buckle. Hi Bob, what's your thoughts on a Takata Alpha airbag recall again? And forced to buybacks on early Audi TTs and Toyota Stars, as well as many other makes and models, as no fix we made available. So Takata is a company that has been in the headlines for pretty much every year for the last 5 or 7 years or so, even going back a bit further. What happened was they made some airbags. They made airbags for everybody, right? Pretty much every car on earth had a Takata airbag put into it at some point. They were the only ones who got the license to do the explosive bit of it, the bit inside, to be able to fit all that into a steering wheel or into anything. Now, what happened was some of those airbags and some of the devices became damp, and they sat inside the steering wheel. So when it would go off, the airbag wouldn't inflate properly. What was happening was bits of metal were being fired out from the inside the airbag. And so people were being, you know, it's like a mine going off in your face, essentially. And so this started a few years back with Toyota and a few others, where they all started recalling cars, get these Takata airbags removed and replaced. Now they've started extending further and further and further back, and now they're back as far as early Audi TTs and Toyota Starlets, but they can't replace them. They don't make the steering wheels for them anymore. They don't make the airbags for them anymore. And so this is what we're left with. This idea that the car company just buy back the car, or well, the airbag company buy back the airbags, the whole car and the whole lot, or just remove it. Now, I don't know whether if there's no fix, there's no fix. The only options they can give you is to pay you back what the car is worth, or to, you'll have to take a chance on it, or you'll have to find a second-hand airbag, which chances are will also be damp. There's all kinds of problems with these recalls over the years, and I still see Takata is still manufacturing stuff today and is still operational. It's surprising to me that company can afford to open its doors, since they literally have been bet to death by everybody. Every car company's had a recall from them at some point. Also see another little post on our Facebook page about the takeover of EVs. I tell you, I'm driving a Hyundai Ioniq, and if that's the standard of EVs that are coming out right now, they're supposed to take over, you'll have no trouble whatsoever selling your diesel in a few years' time. It's rubbish. It really is. It's terribly plasticky. It's got the wrong suspension in it. It's got the wrong torsion beam in the back. It's just a horrible car. I would suggest, and it's in the video, I'll put out the video next week, but it's essentially the Hyundai Ioniq is the worst car I've driven in about 10 years. That one, the one before that was fine. Funny, they had it okay, and they seemed to mess it up. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. See if Hyundai ever want to give me another car, because I pretty much start off the video with that one phrase: the worst car I've driven in 10 years. Zdenko is here. Come on, Zdenko. Good to have you. Robert's time lapses. I'd be interested to see your time lapses, Robert. Hi, Bob. How are you getting on? Is this your favourite car still, the BMW 640 Coupe, or has it changed? It is now the BMW 330 diesel estate, in that silver one. That's a fairly recent review on a channel. I would essentially walk out the door and buy one of them today. Just today. It's very expensive, don't get me wrong, but cars aren't cheap in the first place. But I would still definitely buy one of them this morning. 640 Coupe is gone, essentially, but the older one, the 640D Grand Coupe, is still a collector's item. I think the second last generation, that when they corrected the lights, the first one was good. They corrected the lights a little bit around the front, made more LEDs, was very nice. Just a very, very nice car. As a collector's item, I would certainly consider a 640 Grand Coupe. But for a car I would walk out in the morning and buy right now, it would be the BMW 330 diesel. There isn't, maybe a Tesla Model 3 or something would factor in there somewhere, but only as a second car. Robert Timelapse says also, by the way, any chance you can start doing the videos where you collect your car in Dublin? Because I was watching them all those videos in the morning and they're great. That's the vlogs. I've had so many people ask me to bring the vlog stuff back, which is just me going to do stuff, collect cars and go on videos and stuff. So I've started doing them again. I bought a new little camera, which I think is charged in sitting room somewhere, a Sony X3000, FDR X3000, which is a good little vlogging camera. So I might start using that as a vlogging camera. I'm also going to use a new series which is coming for the summer, which would be a best drive. So I'm going to go on the best drive in the country as recommended by you guys. I'll take the drive and I'll film the drive and do the drone shots and do the whole show. So trying to make that a little bit bigger. I'm also still in negotiation about a TV show as well. I don't know what that's going to come to. Don't know. I've had that 100 times. I've had that. So many people come at you, production companies. Oh, I'd love to make a TV show with you. Oh, guess what? We've no money. That happens a lot. But I'll see if I can do some of them vlogs coming up as well. They don't tend to share as well as everything else. But then neither does the James Bond jokes. So that's okay. I can live with that. I like making the James Bond things. Johnny Dub is here. Afternoon, lads. The corona hasn't got us yet. That's true. That is still going on. World Health Organization say it's going to be 3% of the population of the world that'll have it, and chances are pretty much everyone will recover to some degree. Now I noticed this morning some headlines coming out from the HSE saying it could be a giant amount of the population of Ireland, which just seems to be extraordinary. If they just cancel the Patrick's Day thing, I think they'd probably do well on that. Tommy Turfmold has donated €5 by Super Chat. You're very good, Tommy Turfmold. Thank you very much. That's a great donation. You can do the same thing if you want to. There is Super Chat here. There's PayPal. There's Patreon. There's an Amazon store. There is something else and something else and something else. I'm sure there is down in the chat there. If you want to have a look underneath, you will find lots of stuff. Last week was, I think, our biggest Sunday service ever. 3,500 and something people watched last week. Anybody who doesn't think that this is genuine content and genuinely reaching a huge audience needs their head examined, which is crazy. So if you want to sponsor the whole show, you can. We can open negotiations on that one. It has been a day where we've had blue sky. I filmed this morning, blue sky, very cold, then suddenly hailstones, then it goes dark, then it goes bright again. Very strange. And I actually tweeted this morning as well. This time last year, we were in the depth, no, this time 2 years ago, we were in the depths of snow. I mean, massive, heavy, the heaviest snow we'd ever had in Ireland, really. And I had a little video of myself off up in Portlaoise town driving a Volkswagen Tiguan, four-wheel drive, Tiguan, still have to say it that way. And it came to nothing with the snow. It eventually just went away and everybody forgot about it. It was only 2 years ago. This time 2 years ago. Now we have hailstones today and heavy rain and all kinds of weird stuff. Robert Mulhall, Bob, what do you think of the new Octavia RS? I am driving the new Octavia in a couple of weeks' time. I'm going down to Greece. Am I going to Greece? Yeah, Greece, Crete, I think, to drive the new Octavia. That's in a couple of weeks' time, though. Now, that very much depends on the virus transitions and movements and stuff across Europe, but right now I'm doing that. I'm also driving the Audi A3 next week, this week coming. Now, that is still on, but I don't know whether... seemingly the old airports are empty at this stage, so I don't know whether we're actually going or not until we actually go. But the Octavia RS looks good, basically the same sort of horsepower. I kind of expected that. We have to go through this little transition of whether we're going to be hybrid PHEV, and there's a lot going on in that respect. Skoda is very aware of that. I said that the other day on the radio, Skoda, and Will Faulkner nearly had a heart attack. He'd never heard it mentioned like that. Skoda. It is Skoda. You know the two little dots above the O? That's SCH, essentially. I have my light here in case things get too dark. Because I noticed last week it got very dark. So I'm going to turn it on now to preempt the black that's happening outside. Now I can't see the bleeding screen because it's too bright in my face. Bob and gang, nice sunny day here in Cork. Cork, yeah, well, look, the other end of the country isn't sunny. That is just gone jet black out there. It is going to lash rain in a minute, but it'll be fine. Project Binky, it is actually, a Bad Obsession Motorsport is Project Binky. Jerry Wicklow's here. Hi, Bob and Chad. Hope this finds you all well. Yes, it does. Derek Norris is here. Good afternoon, Bob and gang. Peter Cupid is here as well. Paul O'Connor is here as well. Eric Rochford, afternoon, Bob. How's your electric experience going this weekend? Terribly. I'll explain. So Hyundai were kind of ahead of the posse when it comes to electric cars. I told you maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago that Hyundai have essentially unlimited money at the time to put into electric cars, and they knew what they were doing. So Hyundai and Kia in South Korea spent an absolute mint on electric car technology, and so when their first electric cars came out, they were instantly very long range, and they seemed to be very well put together, and they seem to really be very knowledgeable about it. Now we're into the difficult second album, so now we have the Ioniq, which came out, was very good, fairly decent range as well, in fairness, the first one. Now this next one is supposed to be longer range. It actually is slower to charge. It's not really longer range. If you're following me on Instagram, you would have seen the other night that I tweeted a picture or an Instagram story of the car with 100% charge, saying it had 291 kilometers range. That's not really longer than they already had. But look, it's fine. It's efficient, but I don't fit in it. They've raised the seats inside the cabin because the batteries are under the floor, and they have changed the kind of shape of the cabin so that I barely get into the driver's seat. I'm nearly rubbing against the roof at this stage, and it's terrible. It's got torsion beam suspension on the back, and if you buy the hybrid one, you get McPherson strut in the back, so you get a much better suspension system on the back of it, whereas the newer one is different. So it was kind of weird. Oh, thank you to everybody who tweeted me about something on boards. My name was mentioned on boards. Some people on boards don't seem to like me. That's okay. You don't have to like me to come and watch the video. It's alright. Like, I'm not here to be liked. Like Alan Burke, it's just black. I'm glad I turned on the light now, because you'll be able to see me if I hadn't had the light on this stage, because it's just gone black. Alan Burke says, hey Bobby boy, do you know if the warranty with the Nissan Leaf is only valid if you bring the car for annual inspections for at €150-ish a pop? True, cheers. So the warranty on the battery won't. No, the warranty on the battery will be 7 years anyway, because as long as it checks out when you plug it in, right? Now if you've messed with it, or you've updated your software, or you've done something lunatic to the car, that will invalidate your warranty. But warranties are only as good as the paper they're written on. If the warranty states you must get it serviced at a main Nissan dealer every year for the warranty to be valid, that's them get out clause. They will always try to get out of warranty wherever possible. Genuinely, Nissan will always fix pretty much everything. I've never really had too many complaints about Nissans going wrong and Nissan not fixing something. I tend to find Nissan will fix pretty much anything. You might have to fight for it, but you probably will get there in the end. But yes, you will probably have to get the €150 inspection every single year on your Nissan Leaf to make sure your warranty is up to standard. But as far as I'm aware, nobody has worked on the warranty with Nissan and their cars. So I've had no communications from anybody saying my Nissan Leaf is now out of battery, or it's at 60% of its capacity or something, and I got it changed under warranty from Nissan Ireland. It was great. I've never had that conversation with anybody, so I don't know what they're like if something actually goes wrong. Only really end users would know that, but I do know most people who work in Nissan, and they're all right. They're nice people, like. E.T. Flyer says, good morning, Bob. I'm sure it's morning wherever you are. Irish Foxhound, afternoon, Bob, for the chat. That's good. ZA is here. SB is here. The people with just single letters. Hellhound is here as well. We just shot forward. See, this is the lovely conversation we have every single week. Dermot Walsh is here as well. Jerry Wickler says, love the Jonathan W. Great no-nonsense vintage car repair rescue. I must add that one to my list because I haven't seen that one before now. Jonathan W. Jonathan W. See me writing? Look at that. I can write as well. Sometimes. Can't spell, but I can write. Mick Mulcahy's here as well. Irish Foxhound says, Bahrain Grand Prix now closed event. That proactive for you. What's closed? What do you mean a closed event? You mean because of viruses you can't go into it, like? Byron is here as well. Hi lads. Oh, airbags on. Peter says, hi Bob. Hey Bob, should that not be IWD behind you? International. Oh yeah, I put them the wrong way around. Bloody hell. Hold on a minute. Hold on. You're right too. International Women's Day. See, I can't spell. I can't even do them properly. SB. Why is there no International Trans Non-Binary Day for International Gender Fluid Day? There probably is. I just never heard of it. I know there's definitely an International Women's Day and International Men's Day is in November. What's his name does it every single year on Twitter. Can't think of his name. Some guy does that every single year because somebody inevitably asks, when is International Men's Day? It's in November at some stage. But today is International Women's Day, and I know a good number of women in the car industry, and it has grown over the last few years. Women have always been in the car industry. Don't for 1 second ever think that women weren't part of the car industry over the year or somehow kept downtrodden by their male counterparts. They weren't, you know. The car industry is actually pretty good at bringing people in, no matter what they are, who they are, or where they're from. It makes no difference. Generally, the car industry just accepts it and moves on in that respect. The places where women were probably restricted from was places like garages, where you would have a pile of lads up to their arses in oil, and usually women don't want to go in there. That was more the point. They weren't kept out of it. They just never applied for a job in a place like that. But now, the dealerships are very clean and very tidy, very organised place to work. They all have nice overalls and little rubber gloves and stuff. So it's a pleasant place to work now. And even I wouldn't like to work. I always wore rubber gloves. People used to laugh at me for wearing blue rubber gloves when I was working on cars. I didn't want to get the brake dust and stuff under my fingernails or anywhere that would be absorbed by your body. So I didn't want to do that. By the way, brake dust is very, very bad to be inhaled. Don't inhale brake dust. It's really bad for you. But I'm sure there is some International Trans Non-Binary Day or International Gender Fluid Day. I'm fairly sure there'll probably be some version of that. There's every single day of the year, there's only 365 of them, is an international something or other, by the way. Liam Cotter says the NOx calculator has landed on the VRT revenue page. The Audi A6 3-litre 286 brake horsepower I bought from the UK has gone up 6,000 to 7,000 euro if I was clearing it today. Isn't that insane? This is in my opinion, protectionism on behalf of the SIMI and the car dealerships of Ireland that's after happening. If you work in a car dealership, I'm really sorry, but your time is limited to make people come and buy your cars. And for years now, for 2 decades nearly, we basically have penalised people for buying cars anywhere else instead of rewarding them by giving them a good deal in Ireland. We really haven't. We're not doing it now either. We increase VRT regularly. We put car tax up every year. Insurance is off the wall. Cars are at a very, very high price, with WLTP particularly has driven the price of a brand new car up. And instead of trying to find ways to make your cars sell cheaper, more affordable, more reasonable, what we do is we try and hoodwink people into buying cars through PCP, where we can hide the finance numbers, real finance numbers. Or we penalise them by putting up the price of a dirty diesel we call it. Of course, it's just a high CO2, high NOx car. But we penalise them instead of saying, let's look at VRT. Maybe that's not working for us anymore. Maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe we should actually genuinely compete with the price of a car in the UK. Maybe we should really do that. Maybe we should stop building 2, 3, 4 million euro big glass dealerships. Maybe we should actually just start investing in our customers, making our customers come back and buy more cars. It really is that straightforward. And as a journalist, I sit all the time and I look at the price of your cars, and I look at them going up year on year on year. Here's the new model. It's €200 more expensive, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. And here we are now with a car that was imported now versus then, 6,000 to 7,000 euro more now than it was then for a used car. You're just shrinking your own market and hurrying your own demise in a car dealership. Now, / end rant. Move on. Anyway, Octavian Martin says, greetings, Bobs. What car would you recommend for a commute from Navan to Sandyford, 60 kilometres each way, PHEV or diesel? Budget is around 20 grand euro. Thank you, great job with the reviews. So 20 grand isn't enough to step up to an electric car unless you're going to finance the rest, right? You could do that electric car. PHEV, it's not going to be a new car at 20 grand, right? Because I was just going to jump straight in there to new Skoda Octavia, a Skoda Superb PHEV, because it's got a 62 kilometre range on pure battery. But that car is going to be 43 something thousand euro. So really, any older down to 20 grand here, I would go diesel. And there's a mad reason behind that, because the PHEV, the older ones, had a really crap range, really like 28, 30 kilometres max, and then it's a hybrid after that. And then you're just essentially carrying around another engine in the boot and a big set of batteries in the boot. You're better off with a diesel car. So buy something a bit tasty if you want to, but I would buy a 2-litre straight diesel Skoda Octavia, Volkswagen Passat, something dead straight that isn't going to break the bank if it goes wrong, something that everybody can find parts for easy enough. So that would be a diesel, German diesel car. If you want to go something that's just genuinely for commute, if you could find an older diesel Avenzis, that could be hard to find and very boring to drive, but dear God, that car will go on the sniff of diesel and is dirt cheap to get parts for. Boring is all hell, it'll drive you nuts, and you're going to have to explain it all the time. But sometimes the boring car is the best car to have, because you kind of don't have to explain it too much. You don't really have to say a whole lot about it. Just like when I drive an Avenzis, it's terrible, but it's efficient. But anything older, 20 grand is not going to get you into any of the modern stuff, and any of the older PHEVs are just off. Forget about it. The range is so short, you'll be plugging it in every 10 seconds. Forget about it. Andrew Daly, hi Bob, so much news. Geneva Motor Show cancelled, we covered that last week, that's correct. Irish rugby not looking that great after the last game, and of course the C word, coronavirus. Let's hope it's all worked out. Yes, it will. Don't worry, the world goes through these troughs and lows and highs and things, and I can tell you now that we have gone through this before. All of these virus things, all this other stuff that's being cancelled, we've been through it all. We've had them since the Black Plague. We've had this sort of stuff, right? It's been around forever. This will come and go. The news media was dying to have something to report, anything to report, and they've all jumped on top of it. That's not to say you can't look after yourself. You do need to wash your hands. You need to protect yourself from this sort of thing. Even if you're like me and very little chance of actually dying for something like this, I'd get it. I'd feel terrible for a few days, but I'd be okay. I'm pretty fit and healthy. I'm young enough. It doesn't mean I want to bring it back to somebody who's not fit and healthy. You know, we have the highest instance of COPD in Europe. possibly in the world, but definitely in Europe. We have more asthma sufferers in this country than pretty much anywhere else in Europe as well. And a lot of that's to do with the damp climate we have here and the crap conditions. So, protect yourself, and by protecting yourself, you protect those around you. That's what your main job is as a human being, is to protect the people around you. A great phrase from years ago, my father used to say it. He said, never look at the plate next to you to see if they've got more than you. Make sure they've got enough. That's really what you're looking at. So when you're sitting at a dinner table and you're looking around, you go, make sure that person has enough. You're not looking to see that they got bigger portions than me. It's, you do that. So you look after the people around you and everyone else will look after you. Byron says, thanks Bob for the honesty of his rubbish. His rubbish symptoms that. I'm sure someone's going to love that Hyundai Ioniq. I just think it's the worst car driven. My father used to drive us around in a Vauxhall Viva back in the 70s. Probably just early 80s, late 70s, somewhere around there. And that Vauxhall Viva was nicer to be than the Hyundai Ioniq. It's a terrible car. It's the first car, and I think this is what's going to happen to us, lads. This is being dead honest with you. It's the first car in 10 years that I can literally kick asunder since the SsangYong Rodius, and the Nissan Tida. They were cars I could kick to death, and they just died of death instantly. This is a brand new car from an experienced car company, and I would sooner drive a Hyundai Pony from the 90s. It's not a good car. So I'm not going to hold back on it. Peter Urquhart says, hi Bob, what do you think of LPG fuel? It seems to be the forgotten fuel. I was thinking of getting a Dacia Duster LPG. It is the forgotten fuel. Very hard to get it. A lot of petrol stations removed it. It's stinking. It's not terribly efficient either. Fuel efficiency wasn't brilliant, and plus you basically lose your boot. You have to put a cylinder thing in the boot. Now I'm sure technology's moved on. It looks a bit better now, but realistically you still got to put something in the boot for this fuel to go into. It was great when the taxis were on, because petrol and diesel would be really expensive, and getting a diesel car as a taxi was crap years ago. It was easier to get a petrol, so a lot of guys with LPG. You can't go biodiesel these days as well. That's starting to come in, but I'm still not sure where that's going to go. I seen a tweet this morning from a news outlet that said that biodiesel, some farmer up in Donegal was giving up his organic farm to become a biodiesel farmer. You can't eat biodiesel. You can't drink it. It's like rapeseed. What would you do with it? But anyway, I'd rather eat nice food than worry about what fuel is coming in. LPG will be a very short-term solution at the moment. I really do think we're investing. I've taught you nearly every service for the last years that hydrogen will eventually start to be invested in a big way, and right now it is. There is actually a link in the comments down below to an article in Popular Mechanics talking about hydrogen basically made using rust, which is a very interesting article to read through. I've left a link in our comments down below, so you can have a look at that if you want to. It should open in a new window. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, you'll have to click back and go forward again. But I've tried to make it open in a new window. But basically, hydrogen is now going to get... they've developed a way to make it out of kind of a rust instead of using any kind of fossil fuel involved whatsoever. And it's able to produce officially 25 times more hydrogen fuel, and by using a kind of rust and a light source that goes with it. So it's really interesting manoeuvres, and it's published in Popular Mechanics, which is a crowd I would trust. They really do take it seriously. Good journalists in Popular Mechanics. So if they're tweeting about it, it must be something that's definitely coming on the road, and I think that would mean we're moving into a position where we can generate a lot more hydrogen. Still a long road. We still don't have hydrogen fuel stations, but there is one coming up north. I know that in Belfast. And there is plans of another one somewhere in the Midlands of Ireland, but whether that will happen or not, I don't know. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money needs to be invested in first. But I do think once we get to the hydrogen level of things, using a hydrogen fuel cell to charge batteries in your car out the front will make a big difference to your car. Won't make it any more exciting, but that's for sure. Raymond Grace is here. Come on, Raymond. Robert Van Sant says, hi Bob, I'm loving the new Audi A3, very nice. Hope it's available in Quattro diesel, but all 1.5 litres currently. That's, unfortunately, I think the diesel thing is going to die a death. For German cars, mainly because they were the cause of the problem with diesel, and they don't see a future. Remember, they got a change of management very quickly there. The Volkswagen Group, their whole board near enough changed at some point or another. So you got these very forward-thinking people who've come through. Now, whether they genuinely think forward or whether they're going to be a problem, it's hard to say where they're going to go with it, but I really do think that their 1.4 litre TSI engine, one of the best engines they ever had. The 1.5 is okay. Some of their diesels were brilliant, but I don't know if they were cheaty diesels or not cheaty diesels. You know what I mean? It's very hard. I can look back at all kinds of diesel engines they had that were brilliant. Whether they're even legal now, I don't know. Mr. Sin says, hello Robert, I'm thinking of buying a 2015 Lexus Ct200h. What do you think of this model? Run, don't buy it. Run. It's a terrible car. It's a terrible car. There's nothing good about that car. That's the best I can tell you right now is don't touch it. They're terrible. They don't drive. They drive kind of weird. I don't think they were ever made for Europe. I have a feeling somewhere in my heart and soul it was designed to lower the CO2 emissions or to test something, because it always drove terribly. And on the motorway it seems to just eat itself because it hasn't got enough battery power to really get anywhere with it. So it's just an oddball car. My best advice to you is you can look. Lexus makes some fantastic machines, but the Ct200h is the opposite of that. So run. Mark Turner Smith, would you have thought the thing with faulty airbags recall any cars equipped with a driver's airbag as new would fall foul of MOT if not fitted as so, which would make the issue harder? Let me read that again because that came out a bit weird. Would you have thought the thing with faulty airbags? Yeah, well, it should. MOT and NCT are not. They're a kind of a useless thing. They're more of a threat than a real thing. Often recalls of stuff, really serious recalls are not recognised by NCT or MOT. They won't fail if it hasn't had the recall done, which is crazy when you think about it. They should be the one checking for this sort of stuff. On the flip side, NCT doesn't test. So NCT is not testing your suspension. It's testing an imbalance between your suspension. So if your left shock isn't working on the front, it's detected because it's not balanced with the right shock. If the case of, there's a lady, I think she was down in Cork, she died in a collision after having an NCT. The NCT didn't recognise something. So what was after happening was both her front shocks were broken. So there was no imbalance. And so when the test came back positive that there was no imbalance, but actually the shocks were broken, she ended up crashing and dying in that crash. And they've paid out since, so it was a guilty thing. I'm not talking out of turn here. But it's the same for MOT. They look for imbalances. They don't look for actual problems. So they don't detect things like airbags being faulty or anything. It's a bit crazy like that. My God, there's a lot of people watching this week. There's an incredible amount of people watching this week. I can only see concurrent viewers. I can't actually see many people are watching at this very second. Is 229, which is like the highest number we've had. But we are celebrating International Women's Day. If you know a woman in the car industry, you should know. I'm just going to give a quick shout out to a couple of YouTube channels that I am subscribed to. Under my own name as well. A lot of people say that they're subscribed to my channel, but I can actually check to see who is subscribed to my channel, and I can see that they're not. Which annoys me greatly. Although the one person who has helped me the most since I've started this channel, we tried to help each other over time, and I'm hopefully going to make a video with him this year, is Marek Drives. So if you want to get on to another car YouTube channel, Marek is a hugely impressive YouTuber. He makes 2 videos essentially for every one. So one completely in Polish, one completely in English, and they both get uploaded at basically the same time. And so to me, it's amazing. For someone who makes similar videos to him, I find it difficult to make one video at a time. He seems to be able to make 2 videos at a time. But he's very cool. I've met him a couple of times. We met at a show recently as well. It's pretty good. So definitely, if you want to subscribe to somebody else, subscribe to the English reviews that comes out every week as well. Just going to give a shout out to John Coleman, who is one of the most generous people on this channel. Consistently throws money into the pot for buying new equipment, of which I'm doing at the moment. I'm trying to upgrade. Everything in the house is being upgraded. I'm trying to upgrade this laptop as well. There's all kinds of things. Obviously this channel is 10 years old now, and I've had new cameras and bits over the years, but generally speaking, the shift that I now have to make from the cameras I have to where camera equipment is right now is a big jump. It's a bigger jump than I necessarily want to make, because Canon, the company that I've been dealing with all along, I've never gotten free cameras from anybody, but the Canon isn't at the game when it comes to 4K resolution or high resolution or color correction and stuff anymore. Canon let it slip for a long time. So I'm really looking at Sony, and I bought a Sony secondhand, but a Sony little action camera recently, and the quality is outstanding. Like, it's beyond anything I've had before, and it's just a tiny, skinny little action cam. You very rarely see them. Quite expensive, €600 or something off the Sony website, but I got it secondhand off adverts. It's missing a couple of pieces on it. I need to get some batteries and things for it, but it's absolutely outstanding. So I have to make the jump, and I want to make it just, I like to make this one big jump. I'd rather, instead of going to a little bit of Sony, a little bit of this, a little bit, go up there, I want to just go bunk, and here I am on the top of Sony. So I need to do that, but I need to do a lot of other stuff as well. But I'll get around to all of it eventually. Between your support, like John Coleman there, and like Tommy Turfmold and Eric Rochford and all the rest of us who put in money all the time, I'll get there eventually. It just takes a long time to get there. Hellhound says, I like watching Hubnut, pantograph wipers and beige velour. Wonderful. That sounds good. I must look up that one. That's another one I don't know. Royal Jordanian is another one that I do actually subscribe to. He seemed to fall off my radar for a while. Like, it was like I wasn't getting any notifications. But it's back now. I do love, it's not the motorbike necessarily, it's the daily observations things, because he doesn't speak in it. And it's just riding through London. It's very nice, very calming sometimes. And he makes the motorbike speak as he goes through, which you can with some cars as well. I could make the Mustang Bullet speak as well as you as you go through it. It's great. You can make it sound angry and sad and stuff. So that's worth to look at. Project Amber is another one I do subscribe to as well. Chris Fix is another one. Harry's Garage, of course, is always worth to mention. Some of his videos are pretty good. It's an interesting sort of garage. It is a kind of a sponsored channel, so be aware he is a sponsored Jaguar driver. Most of what he does is not sponsored, but he's still, once there's a sponsorship in your head, you tend to be a little bit more kind to cars. Another one I want to shout out as well is nothing to do with cars. It's a crowd called Nomads Trails. You might not, or you might like this. It's a couple who have been cycling from Norway. I think it's Norway. They're currently in the Gambia down in Africa. And they've cycled all the way there, apart from the ferry in the middle of it. But they've cycled all the way there. And they've done it on basically zero budget. So they're fixing their shoes and stuff with sewing knitting needles and all kinds of weird stuff. It's just so cool. They've got a 10-year plan to cycle around the world for the next 10 years, just the two of them. And trying to pick up free things along the way. It's just an interesting little, it's a cool video, cool stuff that goes on there. It's, again, not cars, it's bicycles. It's not even much about bicycles, it's more about travel. Irish Foxhound says we should be testing for corona, as they do in Singapore and Korea, to keep hospital overloads low as possible. That is the scary bit. Even if you're fit and healthy, with hospitals, it could be up to their wazoo and stuff, right? And you break your leg, or your child falls and hits their head, and you're suddenly in a queue of 100 or 150 people in the hospital trying to get your child seen for something that has nothing at all to do with coronavirus. You know what I mean? So that's the scary bit. It's most important you keep yourself healthy, and they will keep themselves healthy. If we all keep ourselves healthy, we're all going to help everyone around us. That's what I'm telling you right now, is to keep yourself checked and healthy. Mind your diet. Keep an eye on what you're eating. Wash your hands often. Try not to go into public spaces and start licking your fingers or something, taking stuff off a counter. The sample stuff that you get in Tesco's, where they have these little concession counters. You know what I mean? Be smart. Just be smart at what you're doing. You don't have to bulk buy stuff. I'm not saying go out and buy some rice and beans and try and sit in the house for the next 10 years. Don't do that. But you just be aware that what's around you may contain a problem and may contain something that will cause you effort. Brian O'Donnell is a very generous person again, giving us some super chat money. I always like that word, super chat. It really does. It's a very good word to describe what's going on. I can't have, for whatever reason, I totally meet all the criteria for channel memberships, but it's not enabled on my channel. I don't know why. They just won't answer me, because you don't get to talk to anybody from YouTube until you're like 100,000, 150,000 subscribers. Then you might get an email from somebody in YouTube. But at 50,000, where I'm kind of gambling up towards right now, you don't get to talk to nobody. You are alone in YouTube. I get so many emails from people starting out. I have 1,000 subscribers. How do I get to 10,000 subscribers? I have no idea. Don't know. It just happens over time. I don't know how it works. I don't know how to get a blue tick on Twitter or Instagram or anything. I don't know how to do that either. I don't really do. I don't be bothered. I think there's more people now without the blue tick than there is with. No, I know. There's more people with the blue tick than there is without. I think it's more an exclusive club to not have it than to have it anymore. Carlos Moreira says, greetings from the USA. I hope all in Ireland is doing well. What do you think about the new Kia Cadenza? What's a Kia Cadenza? I'll have to look it up. Hold on. It's probably called something else over here that I'm not aware of. Kia. And we'll see in a second. That is, oh yeah, look at that thing. That's the Optima kind of over here, isn't it, really? I like Optima. If that is the Optima. Yeah, it is. Yeah, pretty much. I like Optima. I think it's a pretty good car. Not a bad yoke. It's interesting to see a 4-door saloon come out of a company that's not renowned for 4-door saloons. The first generation wasn't great. The current one is actually okay. I kind of like the current one. Good design, just funny to drive. The older one. Liam Cotter says, any reviews on the Audi RS5 Coupe? Did I not do an RS5 recently? Or was that RS4? No, it was RS5, wasn't it? I thought I did the RS5 recently. Don't know about the Coupe. No, I haven't seen it. And Audi Ireland, BMW Ireland, they sometimes they get performance cars, they keep them on. They've only got them for like 6 weeks and they're gone again. You know, they have to sell them off. They're very, very, very short-lived on press fleets. Because they devalue like a firecracker. You know, once they're lit and they go out on the press fleet, they go down very fast. So they tend to get rid of them fairly quickly off press fleets. Hang on, I get a drink here. Irish Foxhound says, bounce light house ceiling. It's only a little light. It's this light. It's called an Aperture Amaran AL-M9. It's brilliant. Stays on forever. And lights up any sort of room, but it's basically just a small little LED torch, essentially. Hitsters logging in. Thank you for logging in. We appreciate you. It's good to have you aboard. Robert's Timelapse says, we are looking at getting a car between $1,000 and $2,000. We're thinking of a Mark 5 Golf 1.9 TDI. Nothing wrong with that. That's a good car. Bit noisy, but a good car. It'll keep going. Learn to repair cars yourselves, boys, by the way. Honestly, every time, and I say this so often to people, and nobody does it, learn what's under the bonnet of a car. Learn what to do it. You won't harm a car unless you're really insane, right? Unless you go mad at it. It's very logical. Underneath the bonnet of a car is really, really logical. If you learn how to fix any of that sort of stuff, the price of everything drops through the floor instantly, because you go to a decent motor factory, you'll get trade discounts, you get all kinds of yokes. I always ask for trade discount at motor factories. Never go in. Gallon of oil, don't forget a trade discount there. They always give you something off it because they're local business. They know they want you back, right? So learn to service a car yourself. I can service our Leon for about 50 to 70 euro, depending on what I need to do. Maybe up as far as 90 euro if I use special spark plugs. You know, so that's compared to servicing in a dealership of any kind. Servicing dealership is going to be 175, 200 if they're changing the oil filter, the air filter, the pollen filter, the whole lot. It's maybe 200 euro. For me to do it here at home, it's about 70 quid. So it's a massive saving, and you can do it as often as you want. So if you want to service more often, you can do that. If you want to service less, do it. If you want to tinker with things, open a little nut here and there, have a look what's underneath. So it's always useful. Modern cars are useless for that, by the way, and that, like electric cars, there's nothing. There's brake discs and pads and suspension. That's it. Nan McHugh had an airbag recall in 2007 Nissan Almera a few years ago. Painless experience getting it sorted. Spent a little over an hour at the dealer. That car was going to run forever. Nissan Almera, Nissans were brilliant, particularly the petrol engines. Absolutely brilliant. They came with timing chains, not timing belts, so it's basically forever on a timing chain. Unless it gets noisy, by the way. If you ever start a car that has a timing chain and you can hear a jingle jangle of any kind, change it. Change it instantly. It's after stretching. So once the timing chain stretches out at all, it comes under pressure, it starts to move off its cogs. If it's moving around off the cogs, it's eventually going to come off the cog entirely and just get wrapped up, and it'll destroy the engine. So it's a bit of a faff to change the timing chain, but you might only change it once in the whole life of a car. And some cars, a lot of Nissans, you never change it at all. Nissans now have cheapened the engine. A lot of them are timing belts. belts are way cheaper, right, than timing chains. So Nissan changed over the belts, and it's the end result has been less reliability out of Nissan engines. They're still reliable, but just not as reliable as used to be. Now you can have all kinds of things going wrong, but generally Nissan Almera, Nissan Micra, even from 99, anywhere around there, they're all timing chains. The Primera was timing chains as well. 1.6 Primera engine was actually an engine you could kind of boost and make it go a lot faster. It came at 103 horsepower, 104 horsepower. I know a guy who got 175 from it, so you can easily, not in a Primera by the way, that car understeers like a lunatic, but you could easily get more horsepower from those engines. And a lot of that had to do with the timing chain, because you could be sure the chain wasn't going to burst in the middle of driving. Michael Joyce, never heard that name before, I don't think. Hi Bob, lovely Sunday. 'Tis. The sun is back out now, it's lovely again. How long do you think I should hold on to a 2015 Golf diesel before going electric? Change jobs, I went to about 10 kilometres a year now. 10,000 kilometres a year. I was thinking 10 kilometres a year. 10,000 kilometres a year. You know what you need to do, Michael? Buy a bicycle. 10,000 kilometres a year really isn't worth having a car. The devaluation, the depreciation, and the tax and insurance and all that stuff that goes with it, unless you have a damn good reason for having it, I wouldn't bother me arse. I would go out and buy myself a V8 Mustang and put it into the garage and cycle to work every day, or take public transport. You'll save a fortune. But now, taking the question seriously, you should already be electric at 10,000 kilometres a year. If you want to stay in a car, don't buy a Hyundai Ioniq. Buy something like, tell you what you do, have a look at around the same 2017, 2018 e-Golf. You're going to be moving over from Golf diesel to an e-Golf. 10,000 kilometres a year is nothing. It really is very, very low. My wife drives about 6,000 kilometres a year, so we're in the same sort of realm. Just buy an electric car now, you're going to save a fortune over your diesel. Foxhound says no spectators at Bahrain Grand Prix closed event. Oh, right, okay. So that's going to be very boring, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, to have a spectator event that has no spectators is terrible, and that's why, again, International Women's Day, we should be supporting women's sports. By the way, I'm starting to see it on RTE more, that you see like the men's rugby, international rugby covered, then you see the women's international rugby covered as well. Some of the women's sports are far more exciting to watch, because they're faster and lighter and just quicker to get around places. Instead of watching a tank driving, you're watching a Formula 1 car going. Some of them are brilliant, as is the MMA stuff. I don't really agree with MMA, but often women's MMA is way nicer to watch than men's for some reason. But at the same time, women's sport's very important as well. So, spectators, I've seen these things covered on TV where women are playing brilliant GAA, brilliant football, brilliant whatever it is, and there's absolutely nobody in the stands. It's terrible. Steve O.C. says, my wife says every day is International Men's Day. It is pretty much. When you think about what women have to go through, who was it pointed out to me the other day? Someone said to me the other day about if a man's going on a date, all he does is worry about going on a date. He makes himself look nice and go out and a bit of aftershave or whatever, and away he goes. If a woman's going on a date, text a friend, check the history, make sure there's, how dangerous is this man? Is he going to follow me home? It's the danger level for a woman is much higher than a man. So I don't even think about that sort of stuff, meeting new people. I'm sure women must think that the whole time. It's a scary thing, I suppose. But yeah, pretty much every day is International Men's Day. We get to do whatever the hell we want to do. We don't even have to get pregnant. Nothing. It's great. Donald Shanahy, I can't pronounce the last name, so I'm sorry, Donald. I will try at some other point. On International Women's Day, Rosemary Smith should be congratulated for her fantastic contribution to motorsport. She did great work over the years. True, I know Rosemary. If you don't know who Rosemary Smith is, she has been an international rally driver for many years. She's been a driving instructor. She even drove, I think it was a Formula 1 Renault car a couple of years ago, not very long ago now. Rosemary wouldn't be no spring chicken here by any means. She's been around a long time in the motor industry for years and has done a huge amount of work in motorsport. There's multiple others as well. I did a video on Audi in the Audi Quattro. Michelle Mouton is another one as well. She was the first woman to win the International Rally Championship in an Audi Quattro, the original Audi Quattro. And in that video is probably one of my preference videos. I really like that video. I'd love to make that film again, actually. But anyway, Michelle, at the time, Audi decided to invest in four-wheel drive, which is where Quattro came from, the real Quattro. And they came on to the international rally sport, and Michelle, with the driver, Michelle, the first time a female driver came out. She absolutely monstered that sport. She was the top champion. So Audi came in and won everything with a female driver, which really annoyed everybody. That really got to everybody, under everybody's skin. There was one quote from another driver who said women are going to rule the world or something someday because Michelle Mouton had won it. Anyway, more women in the motor industry and in motorsport. Rosemary Smith, our own one, Michelle Mouton, from years ago. Michelle is still alive. I actually met her at an event. She was at Geneva Motor Show. May have been Paris Motor Show. I could be wrong. One of those two, I met Michelle Mouton walking around. She's still alive. At least I would think it was Michelle Mouton. But yeah, Hitstar says, I'm saving up for a Sabine taxi ride around the Nürburgring. Can you do that? You can't do that. Sabine Smith in a taxi around Nürburgring. No, I'd rather drive Nürburgring myself, to be honest with you, than get a lift with anybody. I've only driven it twice. Once was in a hire car. years ago. We hired, I think it was a Vauxhall, an Opel Corsa. I think it was. Can't remember. Flew into the airport, hired a car, drove straight to the Nürburgring, did like 10 laps and brought the car back, and we had to put the brakes out first. The brakes were on fire like every third lap or so. We had to put over to put the brakes out, and then returned the car. Never said a word. Never got billed for anything. Nothing ever came of it. Like, so I burnt the tires off it and things. And I did it again in a mate's car as well. We did a couple of good laps in a Mercedes SLK around the car, which is his car. So we're doing laps anyway. It was good crack. It's great. If you ever get a chance to go, is it still open? But if you ever get a chance to go, it's worth going for sure. Brian O'Donnell would never buy a new car from any dealer, or as I call them, stealerships. They are way overpriced. Good second hands every time. Unfortunately, Brian, the price of second hand is going up to compensate for the price of new cars. So cars devalue usually by a percentage rather than what they're actually worth. So cars lose, we just take a fictitious figure, 50% in the first 3 years, right? So if a car starts out at 50 grand, it's worth 25 grand in 3 years time. Now if the car starts out at 100 grand, it's worth 50 grand. Do you know what I mean? So the price will go up. It's a percentage of the retail price that it goes down by. So prices are getting more expensive, so second-hand cars will go up in value as well, unfortunately. Mark Turner Smith says, I see a lot more women who work in retail workshop dealership network. That's true. Technical roles within that can be very complicated. Electronics, vehicles, auxiliary systems, who retrofit emergency vehicles. That is true. I do see an awful lot more women in dealerships. You always found a woman on reception, usually, in a dealership, but now I'm starting to see more women involved in the background running of the entire business and in the sales position. I don't see a good future for sales people in car dealerships. Sorry, salespeople, but salespeople, I think it's an odd place, odd thing. People are buying things. I told you years ago as well. I know I always say I told you so, but Elon Musk and Tesla has changed entirely how people buy cars. Really, honestly, truly. Amazon done it as well. eBay, AliExpress, all these things. How we purchase everything has changed. Everything. Even Tesco. You can go online now and just order everything, deliver straight to your front door. Like, everything has changed. So I don't see a good future in a dealership with a salesperson in it, sitting there waiting for you to come in through the front door anymore. I just don't think so. I think people are sitting at home, they're watching videos like I make, they're going online, they're clicking on things, they're doing configurations, they're printing it out, and the only reason they go to a dealership is because they're not left with any other choice. They have to go to a dealership to actually collect the car. Whereas with what Musk has done was Tesla create basically a single car, and you can have autopilot or not autopilot, and you choose the colour. That's it. Good luck. We'll deliver it eventually. So you don't have to deal with anybody, because less and less people want to actually talk anymore. Like I was talking to a girl the other day. She works for a car company. She's a marketing person for a car company. She was 10 in 2008 when the economy crashed. And so she has basically no recollection of the first crash that had happened in my generation. Or second, actually, because it was one in the 80s as well. She had no recollection of that, so has no point of reference for being rich or broke. So we're in a weird spot now where people aren't aware of that, but they're mature enough to have jobs and buy houses and all that sort of stuff. So it's kind of we're in a weird spot at the moment right now. But right now we just need equality when it comes to women. Just equality. We need women to be respected the same as men, not differently. I don't think we actually need to have a minimum amount of women in a job. I don't think we need 50-50 balance stuff all the time. I just think you need the best people for the job. And if they're men or they're women, then fair enough. As long as they are actually the best people for the job, not just the only one who applied or friends with your man next door. You know, that kind of stuff has got to end as well. We got to put people in their merits. This is Ireland, though. Nothing happens in the car industry in Ireland, or at least within the journalist industry with Ireland that I work in, that everybody doesn't know about. We all know each other. Honestly, there's maybe 50 journalists out there who write about cars, and every one of us know every other one of us. Anyway, so it's a small country, what I'm saying. Alan Burke says, hey Bobby boy, I have a 97 Corolla. Great car, Corolla. Good car. It's thirsty on petrol. Can I expect a satisfactory increase in efficiency on a Seat Leon or Skoda Scala petrol? Yeah, but not much. In fairness, if you go for, you're not going to get a whole lot more. So if you're, I don't know what 97 Corolla would probably be the 1.3 lean burn engine, I'm guessing. Now it might be the 1.6 or the 2 litre petrol as well. It was 3 engines that Toyota had at that time. The 1.6 was the most efficient. As a lean burn engine, you could put in long nice spark plugs, Castrol GTX Magnatech, and make sure that air filter stays absolutely clean, and you could go a very long way on a lean burn engine, but you need to tune it. You need to put a bit of work in it and make it work for you. If it's the 1.3, it wasn't as fuel efficient. Better torque, did a better job of getting around the place, but it was a little bit thirstier. So you talk about maybe 7 litres per 100 kilometres, 30 miles to the gallon would have been pretty normal for those sort of things. If you move into a Seat Leon or a Skoda Scala, more modern engines, you will be a little bit more efficient, but actually petrol engines haven't come down in their MPG really at all, to be honest with you. Not really. It's still going to be about between 30 and 40 miles per gallon in a petrol. Now, if you go hybrid, you will get better fuel efficiency depending on the way you drive it. If you go PHEV, you will get better fuel efficiency again. So, you know, if you hang about, there will be a PHEV Leon out soon. There'll be a Skoda Scala. Not sure about PHEV. Certainly will be a Octavia and the Superb are both PHEV. So hang about for them. Robert's time lapses, 213 people watching at this time. 274 is what my screen says on concurrent viewers. 275. Welcome to the party. Don't forget to click the like button on the way in when you're here, please. Also, you could look at supporting the channel in some way or another. There is Super Chat, which is there, a little dollar sign below the screen. You can go PayPal, you can go Patreon, you can go whatever you want to do, ways of supporting the channel. Those support things are always spent on equipment. Always try and get the equipment up and down and going as well. New Patreon there, Brian O'Donnell, thank you very much. Very kind of you. Patreon is a way to drip feed the channel, anything from like €1 a month upwards if you want to. Whatever figure, it doesn't really matter. That's irrelevant. I don't really mind what you put in. Patreon is great. But you can also do PayPal if you want to do just a single donation of any sum, whatever you like. Again, I don't care how much it is, it's entirely up to you. But all of it goes into equipment, and all of it is needed this year for equipment. I need to change all my equipment this year, barely. Hellhound says that Brian O'Donnell is there as well. Yeah, I missed you, Brian. I'll get you in a second. Hubnut, scariest bit of an overtaking a motorway in an Inva car 3-wheeler. You know the blue ones from the 70s? They were always parked on the side of the football pitches. Yeah, I remember them. I'll tell you what else I'm doing as well. I'm doing a drift thing this year. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, we had a user who came on and told us that he had a drift car, which is a Toyota Previa. And I went, I don't believe you. So he sent me pictures. And then he said he'd take me out in Montello and do drifts with me. So I'm going drifting in a Toyota Previa soon. I don't know when though. It's in the diary. I'm sure I'll remember when I see it in the diary. Anyway, we are going drifting, that's for sure. Mark Turner Smith, apparently E10 fuel coming soon. Apparently impossible to make pre-2006 cars run with it. Just a political thing. I feel it's been pushed to make sure overnight pre-2006 cars never be used. You probably have a good way of putting that, actually, Mark Turner Smith. The UK, so E5 and E10 is ethanol, okay? So E5 means 5% ethanol. When you see it over here, we have 98 RON, 95 RON, which is not ethanol engined, or not ethanol additives. There is additives, but not ethanol in it. E5 is 5% ethanol. E10 is 10% ethanol. Now, older cars, pre-2006, can't combust that the same way. It caused what's called pinking in the engine is what it's called. So you'll get this funny sort of a pink sound, ping, 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 as the engine tries to work out what that fuel is that's coming in and trying to burn it in the same way. And it's to do with the spark plug ignition system that it won't do it. So if we allow E10, which they say is lower CO2, fuel when it burns is lower CO2, if we allow E10 to come in, we will be killing off our 2006 backwards cars. Now, we don't have it in Ireland, but it's definitely coming in the UK. I would strongly say resist. The most lowest CO2 way of saving the environment forever is always going to be to keep the car you have until its destruction. And there's absolutely no debate to that whatsoever. Making new products all of the time continuously damages the environment far more than holding on and repairing what you got already, by far. So there's no way that anybody can debate that. That is just the facts. So if we continue to upgrade, we're actually harming the environment more. What do you do with the older cars? What do you do with them then? Throw them into a dump. Recycle some of the parts off, and the rest of it gets destroyed or crushed or pushed into landfill. That's all that really happens. So we're just harming the environment in this idea that we're saving the environment by buying electric cars. You're not saving the environment. You're cleaning the air, but you're not saving the environment. Michael Collins, hi Bob, what are your thoughts on run flat tires? Modern run flat tires are pretty good. New ones that Continental put out. Pirelli put out someone as well. Michelin's done a few. Some of those run flat tires now behave much better. The problem with run flats is that they have very little side slip, so the tire won't bend in the corner. So as you go around the corner, most tires and wheels and steering arms and everything else bend over a little bit. If you watch the first James Bond video I put out, you'll see an old coach hearse going around the corner, and the tire nearly looks like it's going to fold in on itself. It's the whole wheel is bent. So tires with the high sidewalls would bend in a corner. When they went to run flats, there's very little flex. They become very firm and they don't bend much, so they're very unpredictable, and all of a sudden you're understeering on old run flats. Modern ones, modern tech, modern abilities have changed how run flats actually operate. So you're able to make them bend and flex a little bit more without having too much. So modern run flats are okay, and it does actually work. They do work, depending on the puncture, obviously. But older run flats feel like you're driving on a concrete surface the whole time. There's just no give. They upset the dynamics of a good car. Can be completely upset by, particularly a rear wheel drive, and the most famous of them being like a 3 Series being murdered by turning in on the corner with run flat tires on it, and the whole thing just understeers, oversteers, 4-wheel drift. It goes all over the place, and it's because of that. So there's no problem with the brand new stuff, particularly from Continental or Pirelli. They both made very, very good run flat tires this last couple of years. But older run flats, ones from 4 or 5 years ago, they're rough. They're rough. Be okay for daily commutes, but not for enthusiastic driving. Adrian Manelli is here. Hi Adrian. Johnny Dub, 245 viewers at 2:32 p.m. I am answering questions from 2:32 p.m. Obviously it's 1500 right now, so I'm about a half an hour behind you, and there's 290 concurrent viewers per minute. It's going to be another busy day. Really is good. If you're interested in sponsoring this entire Sunday service, you can. You can't if you're a car company. Okay, sorry, car companies are not allowed to sponsor any videos on this channel. I don't allow it, neither can a dealership or anybody else. Talk to me if you want to, if you've got a good idea where I don't have to say your car is brilliant and I don't have to mention your car every 5 seconds, because I'm likely to say Toyotas are deadly, here's an ad. Toyotas are crap though. It could be as easy in the same breath. So I like to keep the independence going, but if I could find a sponsor for the Sunday service, now we're well in excess of 3,000, probably going to approach 4,000 viewers this week. So it's become quite a big live stream. It's the biggest in Ireland, so I've been told. Colin Wade, hi. Ban Powell says, I much prefer E-Revs extended range vehicles. The option of electric around a city and the fuel on the motorways as just pure EVs are not efficient on the motorway. The range extender one that went into the BMW i3, I love that yoke. That was lovely. They basically took a BMW motorbike engine, turned it kind of upside down and mounted it sideways into the boot. So between the boot space and the back of the car, they left a little slot that they managed to put a range extender engine into. And when you ran out of electricity, there was a little putter behind you, like Noddy's car from a cartoon, little putter, as the engine would cut in, and it wasn't running the car, it was charging the battery, so the battery continued running the car. The thing was only basically ticking over. It was absolutely genius, and if you can find one now, buy it, because you're buying the best of both worlds. It's effectively an electric car that has a petrol backup that only charges the engine. You're not putting out any CO2 in that respect. Not really, you do, but not as much. Genius idea, but it made the car phenomenally expensive, and a service made it very expensive as well, because you're changing the spark plugs and filters and things on a motorbike engine in the boot while you're at it. A bit hard to work on, but I remember having it here, and I was working in the Indo at the time, so I drove from Foley Street on a full charge, Foley Street to Portlaoise, and only here, just on the edge of Portlaoise, or not even on the edge, on the main street coming down through Portlaoise, did the little petrol engine cut in just to give a little extra boost to get home. It was brilliant engine. But BMW have absolutely shot themselves in the foot when it came to electric cars. Totally and utterly missed the boat, which is why they changed managing directors. The last one was, well, let's not say fired, let's just say he was given a nudge to tell him to go away. And now BMW won't close, but they're on the precipice there very quickly of falling into old-fashioned ways of trying to support what they've got already. It's very expensive to make a move to electric at the moment. Very few batteries around, very few battery suppliers, very few cobalt mines that are fully operational, very few of everything. Because everybody wants batteries now, right now. They're not willing to wait from it, so they all want them now. So you're competing in a tough market. Shane Colton says, what's your thoughts on wear and tear terms of a 3-year-old used car? Wear and tear seems to be a great get out of jail card for seemingly reputable garages to play for not doing warranty work. Okay, so let's break down what it means to say wear and tear. Now, generally speaking, as someone who works on cars every once in a while, I don't do it as much anymore, so I'm not going to service your car for you. You can't hire me to be a mechanic for you, but I still do it, right? So what I would suggest, wear and tear, is things that break because of the way you've used them. They're kind of designed to break. So windscreen wipers are a wear and tear part. Seats are a wear and tear part, right? Now, outside that kind of realm, steering racks and pinions and stuff, that's not a wear and tear item. They just wear out over time. They get old and need to be changed, and once they fall outside of warranty, then they're outside of warranty. Nothing you can do about it. But if a car is under warranty, you've got to read through the warranty what it means to be wear and tear, and you've got to clarify. If you're not sure of something, clarify it. If they're not willing to clarify it, you take your money and you go somewhere else that will clarify it for you. It's not that hard to do. Honestly, people in Ireland need to stand up for themselves a bit better. We tend to go, Irish people do this a lot, right? If you're not Irish, here's a great education for you. Irish people will go to a restaurant, they sit down, they order their food, they get their food, the man will come over eventually, or a woman will come over and go, is everything okay for you? Oh yeah, everything's fine, yeah, no problem, yeah, that's grand, yeah. And they walk away, and within a second they go, this place is crap, I'm never coming back here again, it's horrible, the food is rotten, it's terrible. Oh, it's lovely, yeah, thanks very much, oh yeah, it's the 30 quid, and they walk out through the door, and then they go out to the door and they tell all of their friends how shit that restaurant was, but they wouldn't dare sit there in front of the person in the restaurant going, you know what, it's crap here, this is really rubbish, could you do something better than this is terrible, because they'd be offended. So we're like that in Ireland as well. We sit in a dealership, we go, I'm not sure about the warranty, I'm not sure about the thing, and the man goes, that should be grand, here, do you want a sweet, or do you want a cup of coffee, or do you want something? It's gone, it's just, the moment's gone. Never be afraid to stand up for yourself. It's your money. If you are not happy with the deal you were getting from a dealership, whether that be on the warranty terms or it be on the service terms or whatever it is, get up and walk out before you spend any more money on it. Don't pay a deposit. Don't do anything like that. You're just going to harm yourself over time. So warranty work covers things that are not wear and tear. So I would say that a ball joint is wear and tear. Brake discs and pads, they're wear and tear. Windscreen wipers, wear and tear. Tires, they're wear and tear as well. Exhaust system is not wear and tear. That's not. You don't touch that. You don't go near that. You just drive the car. If something happens to the exhaust while it's under warranty, then it's not wear and tear. Major engine components, right? Anything like a timing belt or pistons or anything, it doesn't matter what the hell it is, anything that's in the engine is a major engine component. It might be the windscreen washers, right, the motor of it, that's under warranty. They're all under warranty. So, but getting that sorted, figuring that out, that can be hard to do. Trying to get someone convinced to do it, you always feel very alone doing it. Everybody goes into the dealership going, I think this is under warranty. Oh, I don't think it's under warranty. It's your word against theirs. So you need to list the things that are definitely under warranty, particularly when you're buying a second-hand car. Okay? Second-hand cars are always the problem because they don't know how they've been treated. Pat Nolan, hi Bob. ... Was there more to that, Pat? Were you going to say something else? Just came to a halt there. Mark Turner Smith says, apologies all, having a bad day. Keep missing words, letters out of my post. That's okay. I'm very good at deciphering a lot of what people say, even when it's completely spelled, or maybe even English isn't their first language, and still I'll figure it out usually at some point. I'm going to give another shout out to another channel as well. Again, nothing to do with cars, but if you have a musical bone in your body, I strongly advise you to go and watch a channel called Drumeo, Drumeo. They get like world-class drummers to come and play the tune that they're world-class famous for, and you never heard them before. You know what I mean? The weirdest things. Like the Michael Jackson's drummer did a whole series with them of playing Bad or Beat It or Thriller or anything, and it's weird to sit there watching him playing Smooth Criminal. It's an amazing thing to watch. His precision is amazing. Also, BBC Six Music have a YouTube channel if you're into drummers at all. They had Foo Fighters drummer on, and he did a whole kind of drumming masterclass thing. It was really good. It's like 45 minutes long. I didn't think I'd watch 45 minutes of it, but I did. I watched the whole bloody thing. Definitely worth a watch there as well. And I mentioned, I think everybody else, Royal Jordan, I mentioned already. Oh yeah, there's a sailing channel. So I do watch some sailing channels as well. I like watching the little sailors go around the world. It's a good education because you get to see the world through their eyes in a strange way, picking up plastic and stuff. Anyway, there's one sailing channel called Sailing SV Delios, which has been fairly consistent for the last decade or so at doing sailing videos. They're kind of a good vibe, great late at night. They're a really good channel to watch because it's really calm and chilled out, and it's nice to watch them as well. So they're pretty interesting. I don't know any of them, mind you. Mark says, love Marek drives, great sense of humour, and his reviews are always fair and balanced. I also like the Australian channel Chasing Cars. Yes, I do watch Chasing Cars up and down here and there. I can't really watch a lot of car channels. See, if somebody's reviewing a car that I haven't had yet, I'll pick up on all the things they're saying. Then I sit there going, God, they're right. There isn't enough travel in this thing or something. And I end up saying what they're saying because it just convinced me of it. So I can't watch a lot of review channels. I don't particularly like what's become of the electric channel. You know, what's his name? Johnny Smith is on the channel every once in a while. I know Johnny. I've met him a couple of times. He's okay. But there is the electric car channel, whatever it's called. I don't like what that's become. It's become a very strange, very sponsored, very... I can't really put my finger on what's the problem. They're just very blinkered, and I know they're ploughing that furrow of electric cars, electric mobility and all that, but it's just become very blinkered towards there is no other way forward than this. And then the next time someone else sponsors a little post, then there's suddenly no other way forward than that. Anyway, Johnny Dub says, on the bike thing, Baron von Grumble is thoroughly recommended. I'll check that one out because I love those those touring bikes ones. There's a good few of those where guys have just set off across the world. I watched another one night. There's a couple as well. I can't remember what their names are now. It's not terrible. Anyway, they make very good videos. They were cycling again from Norway, somewhere up that way, but they were going east. So they went across like Kazakhstan, and then they ran out of energy and went to Japan instead. But they were ticking along. It's very interesting to watch some of these things. Some of the little things that are going on around the world that YouTube don't show you. You know, when you go into YouTube first and it just shows you the latest viral videos and things that are dropping from America, and most of them are crap. I've actually gone on Twitter some nights and gone, I've run out of YouTube things to watch. Recommend me something. You know, because you don't see anything new. They never show you anything new. Carl Arrowsmith says, +1 for Hubnut, brilliant for adventure and cheap classic. That's a good one. National Scallywag says 261 people. It's 293. I seen 308 there a minute ago. Terry Atkinson says Soup Classic motoring channel is very good. I do subscribe to Soup. I do. Yes, I do. That's a very good channel. Verena Q Galcha says hi, hello, how are you? Now we're getting everybody here is from some other rare place. Kajal says hi. Chris Westala says hola, Chris. Verena says, where are you from? Ireland. You must be new here, I take it. Coronavirus, someone says, from Canada. Kajal says, Fafanu says, inheriting an Audi A6 2-litre TDI for a company car 2017. Any comments, please? Is it an automatic or manual? If it's an automatic, you're doing well. If it's a manual, you're going to go insane, changing the gears all the time because it's a very long throw on it, and the clutch is pretty heavy, and there's not enough room, if it's a right-hand drive, for your left foot with the gearbox beside the clutch in a manual. I find it very annoying. You have to twist yourself all kind of sideways to get in there. But other than that, if it's an automatic one, you'll have no problems with it. Just keep it serviced. They're a great car. Mark says Kia Cadenza is a very little bit bigger than an Optima and comes with a V6 engine. Oh, I love a good V6. Optima usually has a small 4-cylinder engine. I had the Lexus RX 450h here early this week. And that comes with a 3.5 litre V6 petrol, and it's brilliant. I love it. It's such a great car. It's just a nice car as well. Just a lovely car to drive around. It's very quiet. Got on with its job. Good fuel economy for a car of its size. Got like 9.7, 9.4 litres per 100 kilometres from it. On a car that size, that's okay. That's pretty good. From a petrol, that's really good. Verena says, can't say what that says. Did someone know what that word mean? No. I have a feeling I'm going to end up banning people. The ban stick is going to come out. The big stick that bans people all over the place. That's come out soon, I think. That'll be fine. Jim Dunn is in the house. Jim, the bus driver, has landed. Come on, Jim. Good to have you here. Prince Stephen. Are you really a prince? A prince of what? Prince of darkness? Prince of light? Prince of Mauritania? Don't know. Tell me. I must know. Anyway, it says, hi, Bob. I own a 2015. You're definitely not a prince. A 2015 2-litre Jetta TDI DSG. Given the poor reliability of DSGs, should I get the extended warranty in case some issues happen? Thanks. 2015 to 2020 is a 5-year-old car. Extended warranty. How much of an extended warranty are you going to get? DSGs. DSG is a weird one. Some DSGs are very reliable. Other ones are not. It depends which one you're after getting, because there was two of them. One of them was a dry, one of them was a wet. So the wet one was much more reliable than the dry one. Dry one tends to dry out in hot environments. Same thing happened to Power Shift from Ford down in Australia. It's a dry clutch system inside. Bit of dust gets in the Power Shift. Gone. Not worth a hold to you. So and the heat made it expand, and the dust would get into the cracks. I don't think a DSG is that reliable, but if you can get an extended warranty for a reasonable amount of money, so how much is a DSG box if it goes? You're talking about maybe $1,000 to replace it, and then $500 to have someone do it as well. So if you can get an extended warranty for 3 years for say €200, then sure, it's not going to hurt you, right? But if you are mechanically minded, nah, I do it myself. But then how much that car going to be worth? Jetta is a 5-year-old at this stage, right? You're going to hold another 5 years. How much is it going to be worth as a 10-year-old car? Will that still be worth your extended warranty? Just depends on the price of the extended warranty. Robert's Timelapse says, at 14:48 there's 260 people watching. There's 292 now. Go, we get the 300s. I tell you, I kick ass. We kick ass. We're such a cool community though. We all support one another. Almost all the names, well, some of the new ones are there, but a lot of the names on the screen I recognise that have been here every week. I've read their names out loads of times before. They're here regularly. They regularly ask questions. You're the real guys that keep this channel moving the whole time, Without you, the channel doesn't exist, and the Sunday service won't exist either. So sharing this is always very good, and it's good for the community. It means that we can all get together and really talk about cars in a way that includes men. I've noticed a lot more women on the channel recently. There was a time a couple of years ago where the channel stats said that 98.3% of the channel was men. Now it's kind of shifting the opposite direction. Now, it's not a big increase, but it's enough of an increase to understand that there's more women now taking an interest in their cars, their vehicles, in what is good for them, what they want as a car, what they want from a vehicle as well. And not just in a mammy way, and not just because how many child seats fit in it, just because the style, the ability, the reliability, the fuel economy, all that stuff is relevant for men and women. So we're now starting to get like 11.5% or something is women. So there's a lot more women, and there is women that ask questions here as well. And a lot of women email to ask questions quietly because I think it's because they don't want to feel stupid in case a man comes on and goes, that's a stupid question. There is no stupid questions, there is only stupid answers. Okay, that's been dead straight with you. There's no stupid questions here. We don't shout anybody down for asking tick questions, but then don't be an idiot either. I can't pronounce your name, but I will come back to it. Mark Turner Smith says, Audi UR Quattro. Oh yes, my number one car for my dream garage. I've sat in one, never driven one though, mind you. Car beside a Mark II Golf GTI 16 valve. That I've driven that, alright. It's a really good car. Have you ever driven UR Quattro? No, I've never driven it. I've sat in it. I actually sat in Michelle Mouton's car. They had it here in Ireland. Mouton also has an Italian female navigator, first all-female WRC winners. I drove another woman called Valentina Albanese. That would have been 2 years ago or more, maybe. No, it would have been further back than that. Valentina is a female motorsport driver. She's on Facebook, quite a following, very pretty woman, but my God, can that woman drive. She drove me around Mondello Park in a Seat Leon Cupra race car, and dear God, the woman only hit the road every once in a while. That's what it was like. We went over the rumble strips on turn 2 and we're on 2 wheels coming out of that, and then we went back up the other way on 2 wheels. It was absolutely fabulous to drive with her. We've been friends on Facebook ever since. We still communicate since then. It's been absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed Valentina Albanese. There's another woman there in motorsport. See, women are brilliant in motorsport. Make no mistake, women are lighter. Cars like lightness. They like things that are lighter. So women are lighter and smaller. That's why Formula 1 drivers are tinchy. If you ever meet a Formula 1 driver, a good one, one at the top of their game, like, you'll find that they're actually very short. Mark Turner, I did that one. Nell Beth, hi all watchers, good evening, good to have you. There's lots of people's names that are popping up on the screen that I've never seen before, and they're hard to pronounce, very hard to pronounce, but that's okay, I can live with that. We'll get to the names and all that stuff. Kevin McCarthy, hi from Phi Phi, Thailand. You're in Thailand? You're watching it in Thailand right now. I would be face down in a puddle of my own tequila at this point in Thailand. No, I wouldn't. I'd be having a good time down the beach or something. Enjoy yourself in Thailand. I've always wanted to go. I'd love to go Vietnam, Thailand, that Southeast Asia point of the world. I think it's a place you can be where you feel like you're totally in a foreign land. You know what I mean? Really properly foreign. Bit like Morocco. When I went to Morocco with Ford, you really do feel like you landed in Star Wars. It just does not feel like Europe no more. You feel like you're in an adventure. Ban Powell says, do you believe that the manufacturers are not really interested in producing EVs due to the lack of sales, as EVs have very few parts that need replacing in comparison to ICE cars? I do believe that, Ban. You are absolutely spot on the mark. It's one of the reasons why EVs are not picking up. The other reason is they're very expensive. And the third reason, as the managing director of Peugeot, however you pronounce that, put out the other day, and this is the managing director of a company that has just released the E208, right? He said, and I think this is as close as I'm going to get to a quote without reading what he said, but he said basically that EVs are for the early adopters, right? They're for the people who are enthusiastic about that in the market, and the minute you take away the subsidies, it falls off a cliff. No one wants to know about it. So if you try and sell an EV without the subsidies, you're going to lose every single time, be stuck with them. So there's this sales point, and also EVs don't make a lot of money for car companies. They're very expensive to produce. Most of the things that are produced are bought in from another company. So most car companies don't make electric engines. They certainly don't make batteries. So they're buying that stuff in. They have to pay suppliers. They sell the car, and then to support the car for 7 years, they have to support that car. And there's no servicing on it. Essentially, they can, of course, you go in every year for 150 quids click into a computer, press some buttons, and well, there's nothing wrong with this car, off you go. That's 150 quid, right? But service departments make a dealership make money. I've never talked to a managing director of a dealership who hasn't pointed out the point of a service department making as much, if not more money, and often a considerable amount of more money than a sales department. So just bear that in mind, that's definitely coming on the road for some EVs, that EVs are going to kill some parts of the car market. Hitstar says Sabine's taxi rides are expensive at €600. €600 to drive it? That's, forget about that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that anyway. Prices range from they're free to about 600 for a lap of Sabine Schmidt in a 911 GT3 RS. I'm sure it'd be very exciting, but 600 quid is a lot of money. I would rather spend that money if I was looking to do something. I would go and do Ray Mears. You know Ray Mears off the telly? You can go to the Ray Mears website and you can get onto a course that he teaches in the UK and in Norway. Where he teaches survival things. And I'm not even into that survival preparation stuff, but I'd go on one of them courses for 600. You could also buy a new laptop for 600. I could probably get a computer for 600. So, anyway, Johnny Dubb says, I can't wait for 188 miles per gallon Superb review, Bob. That's coming up. And you know what? Skoda rang me. they let a little call going, that figure up there is combined over 100 kilometers. So I'm going to test it. What I'm going to do is I'm trying to arrange the test. So essentially the 1 point in my video for the Skoda Superb the other day, the new PHEV one, on the top of the little A4 printout sheet, it said that the average fuel economy was going to be like 1.9 litres per 100 kilometers, which is crazy. So how that's calculated is they fill the battery to capacity, they drive for 100 kilometers and take the average over that 100 kilometers. Right? So the battery's empty at 66, 62 or something. So what I'm going to do is do that test and get the results. And then I'm going to fill the battery again and drive for 200 kilometers and see what the result is then when the battery's exhausted. Anyway, we'll see what that comes out. It'll be an interesting little test. Robert's Timeout says we had to get rid of a 2008 imported Ford Focus 1.6 TDCi. I'm going to get rid of it because the axle was rusting up. Is this normal in the Mark II Ford Escorts? Not really. Ford has never really been that bad with rust in general. If the axle is rust, the axle's a kind of a weird one to rust. They all rust a little bit because the axle takes a gigantic punishment as the car's it's constantly being beat to death by the road underneath it. Stones being fired at it the whole time, depending on how it's covered. But if it wasn't painted properly to begin with, I mean, it hadn't got its primer and coats and coatings over the top of that, you will get a little bit of rust on it. But if it's rusting through, that's a whole different ballgame. That would have been very, very unusual to see that in the 2008. I haven't seen that before. It would be very unusual for any car to rust underneath from anywhere from 2000 onwards. Coatings underneath and stuff, keep all that away now. Nigel Gordon, I can't pronounce that, whatever the hell that says. There's 2 dots after your name. I'm sure you're going to say something. You can try again. Nigel Gordon says, I think we need to move away from the collectivism. To say that all women have had it bad is no more accurate than saying all men have it good. We are individuals at good and bad experiences. Correct. We have perspectives. We have our perspective on life. Some people look inwards. Some people blame themselves for things happening. Some people look at their inside and go, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, I'm not that. Other people look outwards and blame everything around them. People go, I lost that job because he wasn't a good enough worker, or because that wasn't a good enough boss, so I lost the job. Instead of looking at themselves and going, what could I have done differently? They don't look in, they look out. And everybody has a little difference in perspective. And I find that parents, being a father of 2 girls myself, I have 2 girls, one is 11, one is going to be 10 in a few days. My birthday and her birthday are very close together. I'm on the 13th of March, she's on the 16th of March. So we kind of celebrate 2 birthdays at once. But those girls look, I've always tried to raise them as being equal. I've always tried to raise them, if they want to climb a tree, they climb a tree. If they want to cycle a bike or ride a skateboard or, I don't know, whatever it is. I found when I was growing up as a boy, if you climbed a tree, everyone went, yeah, Grant, be careful. You fell over, you go, he'd be Grant. Get up there, you'd be fine. Get up, no, don't be crying now. Good man, get up there now, keep going. But I found that girls wore little dresses and stayed away from the tree and were told, don't climb the tree, you fall over. So it starts very early on, this idea that women are held on a pedestal, that they have to be treated differently, that they're special in some way. Whereas I try and breed into my girls that they can do everything a boy can do. They can play football, they can play rugby, they can go kickboxing, they can do whatever they want. It's fine. It's going to be okay. Scars are cool, you know. That's a talking point of the future. It's fine. The beauty or prettiness of a girl should have nothing at all to do with their ability to do a job or work at something. So we have to bear that in our mind, that we are equal to them, they are equal to us, they have the same needs, the same wants, the same desires, the same ability to succeed as men do. There is no difference whatsoever, although from person to person there can be a difference in attitude of how they work. Some women are desperately trying to manipulate situations so they get treated better because they're a woman, you know what I mean? And particularly in this industry as well, in the car industry and in journalism as well. There's women coming into it, there's more of them. I've worked with a lot of them. Sinead McCann, you know, I've worked with Sinead over the years. Caroline Kidd, who we just did a video there recently with, you know. So I've worked with the women who are coming in to the video realm as well, and I try to work with them more often. It's hard, but we need to continue to treat people as an equal, not as a representative of females, a representative of men. It's not right. They're equal. They have the same needs and wants and desires as we do. But your perspective can be different as well, and that was a really good way of putting it there, Nigel Gordon. You should read that one if you want to yourself again. Mark Turner Smith says E10 fuel will make my beloved 2001 6N2, the one with the Lupo GTI 125 PS engine, Polo GTI with 113,000 miles on the clock, impossible to run. So sad. I would say that most of the petrol stations will keep a pump with standard like E5 or 98 RON in it, 97, 96 RON, whatever RON is going to be in there. I'd say most of them will, as a lot of the old petrol stations still have an old pump out the back somewhere that dispenses stuff that's long gone. You know, I know Newbridge Auto Parts or Newbridge McLaughlin's in Newbridge keep some old fuels and stuff around the place to run some old classic cars. So it does happen. We might be able to get an additive as well to throw into the, you know, where you can get unleaded fuel into a car that only takes leaded. You buy a can of leaded fuel and throw it into it. You can do that too. Johnny Dubb, I saw one of those Lupo GTIs in NCT the other day. Great little yoke. I want one. They are fantastic. Crazy, but fantastic. I have never driven a Polo 100 horse. No, not Polo. A Fiat Panda 100 horsepower. I really I want one. So if anybody knows somebody with a Polo 100 horsepower one, not a Polo, I must say it again. Bloody Panda. Fiat Panda, 100 horsepower. Look for one of them. 303 people watching at this very minute. You're so good. You can support the channel, by the way, by clicking on the subscribe button. That's probably the most important part. You can also do it through Patreon. If you want to donate some cash, some beer money, as a lot of people call it. I don't use it for beer money. I use it for equipment. But you can do it as well by PayPal, Patreon, Super Chat here as well if you want to donate that. Any amount of money, it's fine. Balkarishnan said something like J by E.T. I'm sure it's like that's like throwing Scrabble at the screen. See what happens. Robert's time lapse says 300 people at 15:08. What are we at? 15:31. And catch up to these now. You see, he's always slowed down about this time. 15:30. You all get tired, but I am expected to keep going for another half an hour. That's okay. My energy never falls until I say see you on the far side. Then I go asleep. I just fall down in a corner somewhere and whimper for the next 40 minutes. The kids and the wife are gone shopping, by the way, if anyone's wondering. That's why it's so quiet here. And the cat is outside. She was trying to sit in my lap earlier on, so I put her out. And I think we're having a roast dinner of some sort of Patrick's Day thingamajig. John Egan says, morning, Bob, from John Egan in Manhattan. I'd love to be there. I'd say it's busy though. Question for you, please. Your opinion on a purchase of a 2-year-old petrol ACT Kodiak or Karoq for long-term use in Manhattan? I don't think they're going to go down too well. I would suggest you need a boosted board or use the subway or something. But Kodiak, 2-year-old Kodiak or Karoq. Kodiak is a great car. It's a big car. Saw one pulled over the other day for speeding and talking on the phone on the motorway. It was an RS model as well. I was wondering, was it a press car? So I was going to pull over. If it was a journalist that I knew, I was going to pull over and say, that guy was an absolute animal, tailgate me up the road as well. I know a lot of guards, so it's okay. But Kodiak is a really good car. Great thing. 7 seats. Massive machine. A bit thirsty in the diesel version of it, but it's fine. The Karoq is a bit smaller. It's very roomy, but it's still a 5-seat car. Out of the two, I would pick a Kodiak For myself, I wouldn't bother with the four-wheel drive, because unless I'm going to drive off-road, four-wheel drive is fairly useless to you. Don't think the four-wheel drive is any good to you in the snow and the rain and whatever. It's not really. Four-wheel drive mixed with winter tires is brilliant. Four-wheel drive on summer tires is no use to you at all. So bear that in mind. But Kodiak would be my favourite of two. Karoq would be my second favourite in a DSG 2-litre diesel. Sorted. No problem with that car. DS5 Entertainment channel says, hi, sir, thanks. Sir is not my name, but you can call me sir if you wish. That's fine. That's no problem at all. Bob is my name, though, if you want. Or Mr. Flavin, if you want to be really official about it. Brian O'Donnell says, do most services on our family vehicles in the household that don't require a lift. Anything else I get done by my local mechanic who won't rip me off. That's what I'm telling you. That's what you got to do. If you learn to do everything up to lifting the car. So if you're going to, if you want to do it yourself at home, you can. I've done it over the years without a lift. So you jack up the car, you put in an axle stand. If you don't know what an axle stand is, go to Lidl. They sell them. Lidl or Aldi or someone sells axle stands. An axle stand is a fixed stand. It's a stand that you put up to a certain height. You put in a pin and it's on legs and it's fixed. It doesn't pump up or down. It can't depress on its own. You've got pins, security things in it. So you need two of those. You jack up one side of the car, you put in an axle stand, you lower it down onto the axle stand, you make sure it's safe, you jack up the other side of the car, you put it on the axle stand, and that's it. You're ready to go underneath the car. You leave the jack underneath as well. Okay, so the jack, pin in, ready to go. So if an axle stand fails on one side, it comes down on the jack, not down on your head. But you can do most things in a car from outside the car, from above it, without jacking it up at all. But it's usually pretty good. Jacking up a car is really good to inspect the inside of your tyres. So if you want to see the back side of the tyre without taking the wheel off, you can jack up the car and just get underneath the car and have a look. But usually underneath the car is very little to see, apart from letting the oil out of the sump. But you know what you do. I've seen this few of these things, these pumps. You can get a pump now that pumps the oil out through the intake at the top. So at the top of your engine, where you top up the oil, you lift off a lid and you top it up, you can put a tube down there and you can pump the oil outwards without draining it out to the bottom. Great once, twice maybe, but the third time, at the bottom of your sump, there's a lot of sludge builds up, so the oil gets thick and it sits down the very bottom of the pump, or very bottom of the sump. That little pump thing, that little tube, that won't get that out. That won't get all that stuff out. Draining it out will, though. So if you want to drain your engine, run it for a few minutes, or run it till it's warm, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then switch off the engine, take out the keys, get under the car, open the sump nut, let it come out. It'll be warm, it'll be very liquid, and it'll come flying out. If it's jet black, it's time for you to get a service done for sure. If it's a golden honey coloured, that's fresh oil. It's fine. ET Flyer, we've had an E10 in the US for decades. It decreases fuel mileage by about 3%. Really? Oh, that's alright. It absorbs water from the air. An issue for fuel that sits. It does make sense to burn our food. Does it make sense to burn our food? Yeah, I know ethanol. I know. Yeah. E10 is look. These chemical things only happen not to save the environment. They generally happen because somebody wants to make more money from you. That's usually what these things are about. So just bear that in mind, that most of these changes that they bring in is because somebody has been convinced that this is a better move for you. The only way you can protest against these sort of things is to contact your local TD, your local MP in the UK. I don't know what you call them in the US, but definitely, I don't think the E10 is going to help the situation of lower CO2 emissions from your ordinary car. CO2 emissions are very, very tiny movables. Very tiny movable. You can't do a whole lot about it. Owen Norton says, SV Delos is excellent, great show, Bob. You see, I like SV Delos. They're pretty good. Some of the stuff is good. Some of it's a bit dreamlandy stuff. It's alright. Anyone I didn't mention on that list? No, I don't think so. Nomads Trails did that one. Yeah, Mark Drives definitely. Project Amber. Just look, I'm subscribed to maybe 400 or 500 channels. A lot of people don't even worry about that part. They're bigger. Sometimes some of the channels that I'm subscribed to are a lot smaller than my channel. So when I ask a question, like I get really enthusiastic and ask a question, to suddenly instantly answer, go, thanks very much for subscribing. Oh, it's so good to have a big channel subscribed. And I go, I'm not a big channel. It's fine. I have big channels subscribed to me as well, actually. Real Engineering, an Irish channel with 2-point-something million subscribers, subscribes to this channel. Sometimes asks questions as well. He does a lot of car stuff, by the way. We are kind of talking about doing something car related at some point, but he is not on the videos himself. Dave McCarthy says, fully charged. That's the one, yeah. Yeah, it's all pure green and commercialised. I still watch, though. I have to run through my own filter. Yeah, the problem is a lot of what's on fully charged is either sponsored or it's the latest thing, and it's just sitting there going, this bottle of water is going to save the world. Oh, wow, look at this bottle of water. It's going to save the world. Woohoo, you know. And it's just crazy feeling of everything that's on the screen is the best thing. This is brilliant. This is going to be fantastic for the future. We're going to recycle all these batteries and do millions of things, and none of it comes to pass. So it's just like a newspaper, purely commercial these days, and a lot of it now is about their talks that they're touring now at this stage. So I don't know the future that's in doubt at the moment. I see a lot of things happening around the edge when something gets that commercial and it starts to interfere in people's lives. And I know Johnny Smith has started doing his own YouTube channel, his own videos and stuff, and been promoting them very heavily. I would suggest close to begging point of looking for subscribers, which I'm not really down with. That's fine. If people want to beg for subscribers, it's okay. I prefer people to subscribe for a long term. I've had subscribers here who've been subscribers since the beginning. I've been around so long, some of my subscribers have died. That's how long I've been around. Now, there you go. That's like a claim to fame you wouldn't have expected, huh? I still miss their passing. Every once in a while I see them on Facebook. Their name will appear going, this friend hasn't commented in a long time. It's funny when it comes up, you know. It's very strange. You just get reminded of them. Someone else's email address was hacked recently, and I got an email from them, and I know they're dead, but I got an email from them, which is kind of weird. Yeah, fully charged. Johnny has left and is focusing on his own channel, Car Pervert. Has he left? You know, I thought he would. It just wasn't him. Johnny would be a journo, you know. I've met Johnny a couple of times. Last time we met, we spent a long time together having a pint or two. We won't mention that though, mind you. And we've kept in touch every once in a while. I have his email address and stuff, so we do chat. But he never mentioned he was leaving. But I didn't think it was his kind of place. It's no car review on Fully Charged is a commercial organisation. They make a lot of money, a lot of stuff going on there in the background. So Mark Harrigan goes on here. Robert made some comment on Twitter about Johnny wanting to do non-electric cars, which Johnny completely denied. No, I don't think Johnny wanted to do non-electric cars. I met Johnny on a automated driving thing, a Twizy thing. Not Twizy, what the hell is that? Zoe over in Group Renault brought me over to France to drive around. And there's a video on the channel anyway. Johnny's in the background of a couple of, I'm in the back of Fully Charged videos as well. But I talked to him back then, and he was talking about doing electric PHEV, all the cars in that range. But then they seem to fall out as well, and I really do think it's the commercialization of the whole lot. You know, you can't be bad about it. You can't say bad things about a car. That would be a big thing for Robert Llewellyn. Robert's looking for his pension pot, you know. Never really made a gigantic moves as an actor. You know, he was in a couple of things over the years, but never really, you know, headline stuff. Red Dwarf being a big thing. So he concentrated heavily on that. He used to do a series called Carpool, which I used to watch on Apple iTunes way before that was a popular thing to do. I used to watch all that. Sort of brilliant show. Started with crap cameras like everybody else, and then it became a Dave series, and then he just killed it dead, and started Fully Charged. So it's had its own ups and downs. I think it's going to go down now. I think it'll go down very quickly in the community. I think you have the Tesla-rati people who love it because they love any of that sort of stuff that's always agreeing, never disagreeing with them. Everything's brilliant by Tesla, you know. That's how that works. Anyway, moving on. Not going to slag off Fully Charged anymore. It's a shame to see something like that go, but you know, they've made a bed. You make a bed, lads, and then you lie in it. That's why if I had ever taken sponsorship from a car company, I wouldn't be here now. That would have been the end of it, because no one else would give me cars, or you guys wouldn't watch, because I'd have to be nice about whatever car company. So if you're a publication out there and you're working hard, I would suggest having friends in car companies is cool. It's okay, it's alright. I have friends in car companies as well, but we rarely talk about cars in fairness. But at the same time, taking sponsorship, or you know, making out that you're not being sponsored when you are being sponsored by someone, is a path that only ends one way. E.T. Flyer says ethanol fuel in the US is a government corn subsidy for the farmers. If ethanol was not required to fuel corn, farmers would suffer. It's an enormous political football. Right. Well, hopefully that won't happen here. Because like I saw this morning on Twitter, one organic farm in Donegal has stopped farming to go for ethanol fuel. And you know what? I prefer food any day. I don't need more fuel, honestly. Food is much better. Really, really much better. I'd rather Ireland was self-sustaining in a food front. I'd rather we had grass-fed beef here and had, top quality meat. I don't want to have what they have in Germany, where they have crap meat and yet they all eat meat. Weirdly, when you drive through Germany and you realise there's no cows in the fields, or very few, or sheep in the fields, and you wonder where they all are. They're all in sheds because it's all intensively reared in Germany. So I don't want that. I like seeing cows in the fields. I like eating grass-fed beef. It's very good for you. I like all that. So I have no interest in anything else, if I'm honest. My chat has gone wild because there's so many chats. So many. But this is cool. That's cool. That's okay. Lots of new people on the channel today. Hello. Subscribe. Thanks. We get rid of you though, because I see you're after just spamming the channel. Can't have that. I'm trying to find where I left off. There's SV Delos. That's good. Good afternoon. Operator Hoots says good afternoon, Bob. Sorry I'm late. That's okay. You need an excuse. Note next time. Don't make a mistake. Next time, right? Mark Harrigan says, yeah, fully charged. Johnny has left and is focusing on his own channel. Car over. E.T. Flyer. Did I want to? Paul Harrington. Hi, Bob. Keep up the good work. I will. I just love the loose topics and wide-ranging discussion from a 2 EV household in the deepest, darkest Wales, an MB250E and an MG ZS EV fully committed to electric power. I haven't driven either of those cars. No, a Mercedes-Benz 250E I have, yes. But I haven't driven any MG ones, right? Because I don't know the lad from MG. So I haven't asked any questions. You can buy them in Ireland as far as I know. I don't think MG is going to have a big future in Ireland. I don't think so. I think a lot of these little Chinese companies are going to come running in and will make a pile of electric cars and then they'll disappear, right? Which is because they'll be bought up by somebody else, or they'll just stop making them because it's too expensive, or the market becomes saturated with them. That's what will happen in the end, and we'll be left with the old time boys who've been here for 100 years picking up the problems in the end. That's what I think will happen. Still, I'd like to have an old go on the MG ZV. I just haven't investigated. I'm terrible. Don't forget, you can support the channel if you want to. There's loads of links down below if you really want to do that. It'd be great if you did, actually. Anyway, Flyboy Flash says, hi Bob, if you were to choose one car as your daily driver, what would it be? This is like the most asked question of the entire channel. Anyway, how about regardless of price? Right now, my favourite car is the BMW 330D that I had here a couple of weeks ago. It's an Estate Farm, black alloys, grey, beautiful. There's a video on the channel. It is an exceptionally brilliant car to drive on a daily basis. You would happily drive that car for the rest of your life and not ever think about electric cars for your whole life. Unlimited power. The faster you go, the quieter it gets. Also, I love Volkswagen California because you can use it every day as a car, and when you want to pop, it is a camper van. An absolutely brilliant machine. I think I probably would like to buy a converted one that you got bespoke built, but as a car you can buy from a dealership, as a camper van you can buy from a dealership. California is right up there. I do like a Mercedes E-Class Estate, would be another one as well. I'm not really into big performance cars. I know I'm kind of boring in that respect, that I'm not really, I wouldn't, with a lot of money I wouldn't go buy a Lamborghini. I might be convinced into a Porsche 911, the newer ones, maybe, because I really like the look of them and I like driving them as well. I've never made a video on, but I'll get in touch with the lads over in Porsche UK and get a Porsche at some stage. But I do like driving them and I like the look of them now. So I might be convinced into something new like that, but that's about as far as it gets, really. Daniel T. Hi, Bob. I just purchased a Mercedes-Benz E220 AMG line 2015, and I love it. Thanks again for your advice. No problemo, anytime. It's a good car, actually. E220 AMG line is a nice car to drive. Very nice. The suspension can be a little bit brisk, but it's very hard to catch it out. You need a specific sort of speed bump to do it. Minsk is here. I've said that name many times. I have a 2018 Accord 2-litre turbo. T USA model. My Goodyear Eagle touring tyres are pretty worn at 22,000 miles. I get a lot of wheel spin at moderate acceleration. What softer tyre actually lasts longer? Softer never lasts longer. So tyres, if you break tyres down to the very basic level of tyres, the firmer the compound, the more plastic is in the tyre. So actually the longer they wear, but the less grip you get. So you actually get more wheel spin when you buy cheaper tyres, but they will last a bit longer because they've got a harder compound. Older tyres, softer tyres, softer compound tyres last less time, but you get a lot more grip out of them. A hell of a lot more grip out of them. It can be the difference between crashing and not crashing, essentially, the amount of grip. So you really won't get a longer lasting, soft compound, good high grip tyre. You'll only get about the same length of time, but less or more grip. You can get mixed use tyres that last a little bit longer, but you're not talking much more. Tommy Turfmo says, Bob, any experience or thoughts on the Alpha 4C? I have driven the 4C on a couple of occasions. There is a video on the channel, I think. 4C is an amazing car. It weighs nothing. It's 850 kgs or something. It's a tub system inside as well. So you're sitting in essentially a bucket inside. It's a carbon fibre tub. Because it's so light, it's weird to drive. But God almighty, it's fun in the right times. Love it. Absolutely love the car. I would happily own and buy one in a blink of an eye. I don't know what that says. What's a Bishmilla village food? Right. Anyway, whatever. AB Raskella says hello. The crow himself says, who are you? I'm not a crow. Said Annie. Annie McAfee is asleep in a job. Annie isn't here today. I haven't seen him. AB Raskella says, hey. Rob C. Building a counter in Schwimbo's shop. Bob, otherwise I'd ask a question, but love listening to you. Formerly Rob a Job. Rob a Job, yeah. I still able to turn these into podcasts. I do. The podcast is linked down below. So in the comments under this, the latest version, which is last week's Sunday service, is linked as a podcast through Apple iTunes. Now you can get it on Spotify, you can get it on Podbean, it's on iTunes, it's on pretty much everywhere that you want to see it or hear it. So wherever you get your podcast from, I'm probably there. We did a huge job of syndication earlier on in the year and managed to get it everywhere. Even Spotify picked it up, and I got an email from Spotify saying it's doing very well. Thank you very much for your podcast. So it's probably one of the most downloaded podcasts that I've ever worked on, and I've worked on a few different podcasts. There's another one coming up. If you're a Viva customer, you're going to hear me soon on your podcasts, by the way. Mr. Licks, and why do you think that is? That is a spam job right there, isn't it? Anyway, Diego says, I can't understand that. Lee Moore, hi Bob, what's your crack on this ridiculous NOx tax? Older diesel cars already registered. It's insane. That's what happens, Lee, unfortunately, when the government is allowed to do whatever they want to do and nobody questions it. If you have to question it, you have to question why they're bringing this now. It's because they think they're doing something for the environment, because they think they're making the right decision now. They've been told that that's what it is. But actually, it's a protectionist move to protect the car industry in Ireland from being murdered by imports from the UK. Because the very minute that the euro and the pound became sort of parity or near enough parity, every dealership in this country went to the UK to buy cars. I got text messages from all kinds of sales staff who were over in Manchester collecting cars for their customers. And the SIMI and that kind of vested interest didn't like the idea of that. And so they got this tax brought in under the radar, very quietly, under the guise of keeping you safe, which is pretty much how all laws change in this world. They say something about safety or health, and they go, well, it's to protect the kids from NOx on the roads, so we're going to tax the cars. We're not going to ban them. We need to ban them, just tax them. So the Irish government just either go, I don't understand it, so I'm going to tax it. I understand it, so I'm going to tax it twice. I understand it, and I know if I tax it properly, I can tax it for many years. That's how the VRT has worked, and that's how that NOx tax works as well, Lee. It's a ferocious, it's bad, it's very bad. Computer Bob 06 says, but Bob, did you say how pretty that female racing driver was? Yes, well, you know, if someone's pretty, someone's pretty. I'm very likely, and lots of people know this, to tell men how pretty they look as well, or how good they look, or how handsome they are, or I like the jacket they're wearing. It usually works very well for me, to be honest with you. So I'm not discriminatory in that respect. I'd like to tell anybody how to do well. Hey Bob, Doug DeMuro. Oh yeah, Doug DeMuro, yeah. Did a great video this week on a Porsche Panamera, being the most car you can get under 30 grand in the US. What's your tip for the most car available here? Nothing. In this country, you are ripped off at the highest order every single time that you want a good car. The only cars that you can pick up right now that are going for a song are big engined old cars. So I seen the other day a 2006 7 Series, a 740i for €800 on Dundee. It was sold in a few minutes. Obviously somebody smart there went, look at that. But yeah, so you can get those bigger, older, like V8s, V10s, V12s for next to nothing these days. I've even seen a couple of Astons on Dundee. People just can't afford to tax them or do anything with them, so they stick them up in Dundee for a song because nobody wants to buy them either. Abe, I can't even keep up with the amount of comments anymore. So many comments. I'm only at 3:32 and it's nearly 4 o'clock. Like I'm half an hour behind just as it is. So we'll keep going till I get to the end of it. It'll be grand. Johnny Dub says, sorry Steve, that was meant for Martin. Oh, you're talking to her. Nigel Gordon says, Dancia Patrick, first lady to win at IndyCar, competed in an equal level to which is the way it should be. There you go. And I think Formula 1 should be there. I think Formula 1 should be open to female and male drivers. Not female and just open to drivers, 100%. Now, Formula 1's a bit weird in that unless you come with a few million quid in your back pocket, you're not going to be driving anything. So it depends on how much money you got yourself. But I firmly believe that all motor racing should be opened up to any driver who wants to drive, not just men or women or divisions or whatever. Now, different story when it comes to like GAA or rugby or athletics or whatever, right? That's a different story because men are often bigger than women. So, you know, a woman rugby player going up against a man rugby players, that's going to be death. Like, so it's not a good idea. Omar Nikolai says, hey Bob, keep up the good work. Thanks very much. Operator Hoot, Bob, what's your story on the special tyres on EVs? I know they have lower resistance in order to get better mileage. But from a safety point of view, is there a downside? Yeah, grip, understeer, stopping power. And the fact that they're special tyres means they're going to cost more straight away. And I always harp on about it. I've seen this mentioned many times. Bob Flavin says, if you want to buy a car, check out the price of the tyres first. And this is where I tell you that again. Check out the price of the tyres on a car before you go near buying a thing. But from a safety perspective, a car that has less rolling resistance also has less grip in braking. So you will end up understeering or whatever that involves steering. Robert Steiner says, are you ever going to bring back the garage with Paul? We were talking earlier on the year last year about doing something again this summer maybe. I don't know. That's kind of up to Paul and it's scheduling. He runs shops and barbers and stuff, and I have a list of videos. Like I probably have 8 or 9 videos in the can right now to put out, and I just haven't got time to sit down and edit them all. So it can be hard to do, but I will. If Paul wants to do something later on in the year, he will. Yeah, sure. John Bitt, hi Bob, sorry a bit late. Advised recently my 3-litre TDI leaking fuel injector sounds serious. Yeah, when it comes to a fuel injector, it can be fiddly rather than serious. So an injector. So if you look at a cylinder inside of a car, it's hard to explain without actually showing you a picture of it. But if you look at a cylinder inside of a car, you got a piston at the bottom. The piston crushes the fuel, compresses the fuel. The ignition at the top ignites the fuel, and the piston gets driven back down. In the process of being driven down, it sucks in air from a fuel injector, which is injecting fuel. It sucks in fuel from a fuel injector. It sucks in fuel. And the injector squirts it in exactly the right amount. So very, very low tolerance. When a fuel injector is leaking, it's either leaking outside the cylinder, so the fuel is actually leaking outside the car, it's dripping onto the ground outside, or it's leaking into the cylinder, which means you're getting flooding. Your car is starting to flood inside. There's too much fuel going in, and it can't burn it properly, so you get flooding and coking and all sorts of stuff. It's not actually a big deal to fix, but it can be very fiddly to make it all work again. It requires timing and stuff. All sorts of stuff has to be done. So when you're trying to get that done, you could do it yourself. You could change out all the fuel. And I strongly advise you to change all injectors. If you're changing one, change a lot. You're going to have the head off anyway. You might as well do it. So it's not a big deal, but it's just a fiddly thing to do. And sometimes the parts can be a bit expensive. And it's your 3-litre TDI. So you're probably talking about one of the Audi cars or one of the Volkswagen Group cars that's out there, which means it's going to be a bit expensive to do. But it's not a serious problem, but it will become serious over time as you're driving the car around. It will start to either burn a crap load of fuel on you or will cause all kinds of cuts out. Livy Mark says, mega love, shout out to everyone. Right, great, thanks very much. Carlos Moreira says, I am still amazed about today's technology. When my dad's first moved to the US in the 60s, he barely could get news from Portugal on his Stacati software radio. Now I see you clearly hear him. You see, that's modern technology is absolutely amazing today. In the fact that I can broadcast live without... I have a laptop, a webcam, which was donated to me by a lovely user here on this channel. I have a mic and I have a light in the corner. That's it. Once upon a time, to do this, you needed a giant amount of equipment and a massive aerial and a broadcast satellite and all. Nah, done. I'm also doing a bit of work with Mojo stuff, which is mobile journalism stuff, which is a cage for your phone and mics and stuff that all work together. So I'm trying to figure out ways of making that happen as well, so I can do more live streams from live events, from international events and stuff. National Scallywag. The wonderful EUSSR has us kill 5,000 suckling calves. That is probably true. I don't know. I'm not involved in that end of the world. Bob, if money was no object, I would get a Lexus LFA. Nothing sounds better. This is true as well. LFA is an amazing vehicle. Technologically amazing vehicle. 4C is the width of a Range Rover too wide in my opinion. It is wide, but it's wide so it doesn't take flight. That's why it's wide. If you mess with the bottom of, I believe, you mess with the bottom a cover underneath the 4C, if you take that off, it takes flight. It just goes up in the front. Someone called Dad says, it's my birthday. Congratulations. Liam says, are the F50 335D M Sport worth over the 330D M Sport? Doing a 40-mile motorway commute daily, got a E91 330D M Sport now up in Belfast, so motor tax and VRT are not important. Not really. So what it did was, a 330 has a single turbo, so there's one turbo, it spools up and away you go, and it works fine. The 335 has a twin turbo, so two turbos spool up at the same time. One turbo deals with low torque, the other deals with high speed. You have a shorter 0 to 60 time. You will burn a little bit more fuel, not a great amount of difference. You will burn a small bit more fuel, you get a little bit more torque in it. It's not really a huge big difference between where you are and where you're going to go. You'd notice it if you were coming from something smaller like a 2-litre diesel, but going from a 3-litre to a 3-litre twin turbo, it's basically the same. The noise is slightly better as well. La Ronda Hendricks says, thank you for working. No problem. I love these spam things that come in, like it's just these random channels that want more subscribers, so to come to this channel and say something. It's fine, it's okay, I don't mind. Mark Turner Smith says, some very tasty Volvo 850 T5s. Oh god, yeah, what a great car. That thing was in, like, that made a race for those cars. Anyway, till you paid a £555 per year road tax. Did you ever drive an 850 TS, 850 TS T5R? I did the 850 T5R. My mate has one in Birmingham, and we went for a spin in that one day. We actually drove to Rockingham, which is now closed, isn't it? Rockingham is gone. Died of death. No one's using it. We drove to Rockingham and did laps in his car, which is funny. Operator Hoot says, followed on question, can you put regular tyres on an EV if you're not worried about looking a bit of mileage in exchange for safety? The problem is some of those tyres are specifically designed to fit a specific wheel. Now, I don't think anyone's ever changed out the wheel to suit a different tyre, a different width tyre. You'd have to have exactly the same measurements on it to make it fit the wheel you've got. You can make the tyre a bit wider, a bit, you know, the sidewall, you can make that a bit taller or shorter, but that's it. That's as far as you can go with tyres. You can't make them wider without changing the wheels. So I don't know of anyone who's done it, but you could try it and report back. Just don't report back from a hospital in a crash or anything. Computer Bob says, Liam, get the 330E M Sport. If you have somewhere at home to charge your car, brilliant and fast, and will get you most of the way almost for no money. There you go, there's the advice coming in. Ocean Froggy, hi Bob, just back from DEVOC meetup. What's that? EV. So it must be Dublin EV Owners Association. Okay. I should be working for MI5. I was able to decipher that. Chatty, folks, consensus was in a few years' time, such might be a car park already full of EVs. Such would be the normality by 2025, let alone 2030. P.S. My better half is a snappy driver and can reverse and parallel park with ease. She also is a trailer with ease in the parking space. Some girl, see, it's not the sex of the person. It's what they're able to do with their steering wheel that matters. Consensus was in a few years' time, such might be a car park already full of EVs. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen that fast. It's easy for some people to switch to an EV. I'd find it easy. I have one. It's fine. It's okay. I wouldn't really worry too much. I think I'd find it fairly straightforward. But I think there will be massive drawbacks for EVs as well. There's all kinds of things that can happen to EVs over time that we don't know about. We don't have enough of them. And then what happens with the queues? Unless we have enough places to charge these things, or the queue of people already that's there, and you know this, you're an EV driver, so you know this already. I've queued up at places to get a charge, and it's already happening. So where's it going to be? And if 50% of the market, we have 2.5 million cars on the road in Ireland right now, if 750 to 1 million of those was EVs, can you imagine what would happen to the electricity, to everything? The price of electricity would go through the roof. Like, it's just crazy. Mark Turner Smith said, yes, Rockingham race circuit is now closed down, has struggled for many years. It's a shame to see race circuits going. Unfortunately, Rockingham was always a bit manky though, wasn't it? It for a long time. I mean, in fairness, I love the guys at Mondello. I have a great time at Mondello. Mondello has struggled for years and years and years to stay going. It's the only big racetrack in the country. It's never had any competition. That means it sticks around a bit longer, but it's still a fairly tough thing to keep going every day in Mondello. Village Boy says, what we do on Men's Day, November the 19th, will it get same respect? Same? Of course it bloody will. I'm a man. I'm going to do the same Men's Day. Of course Men's Day will be there, but this isn't Men's Day. This is Women's Day. And I love women. I have 2 daughters. I have a wife. I have a cat that's a female, for God's sake. Many friends that are females as well. So I'm mad about women. That's it. And I'm also mad about men and people in general. Humans are lovely things, The vast majority of humans on this whole earth are just the friendliest people you've ever met in your life. There are some nasty people among them, but nasty is as nasty does. There you are now. There's a quote for you. Village Boy, you're after tweeting that about 60 million times, so I'm just going to delete you, right? Because you're just no good to me. Omar says, oh wait, no, that's just true. Sorry, I got rid of Village Boy there, so we screwed up the entire timeline. Coming along there. Village Boy is a bad stammer. I love that, his story. Omar Nikolai says, Savage Garage's latest video on YouTube has an LFA well worth a look. Sounds amazing. There you go. Savage Garage is another one to check out. I got lots of places to check out today. Hit star, but then again, every village has one. David McCarthy, I finally get to use the block features. Great, isn't it? It's deadly. Just go bang, like the ban hammer. I love the ban hammer. It's really good. It's been years. You can't actually, as a YouTuber, I can't actually ban someone anymore. I used to be able to do it, but all I can do now is mute them essentially, so they can't comment on my channel, but they're still able to comment. They don't know that though. You're still typing your little comment, it just never appears on my channel. Which is kind of annoying, because I used to love when they'd come on and slag you off and you go back in, you call their whole family a really rude name and then you ban them so they couldn't answer you anyway. It was deadly. It's to really get a good thrill out of that. Dave McCarthy says, I finally get to use the block features. It was brilliant. Johnny Dub, another great service. Bon. Pity about the spammers. Slán Lat, Johnny Dub. Slán Awalya. I always remember that from years ago. Ocean Froggy says, no queuing needed. 90% of the folks charge at home. Supply demand more likely to reduce electricity costs and then raises demand increases. No, kind of, sort of. Look, not everybody is ready for it. And I think 5 years won't have everybody ready for it either. What would we do with a million ICE engine cars in 5 years' time when nobody wants them? See what I'm getting at? We need to let the market settle, and we need to incentivize businesses to put in more chargers, because the very first thing that happens to me as an electric car driver is I get into the car and I plan my drive. I think, will I need to drive 150 kilometers tomorrow, or am I okay with 90 kilometers after me range? So there's this debate has to go on in your head, because there's not enough chargers around the place. I have gone places. I've driven electric cars to IKEA and there's no charger and you drive home and it's fine. It's okay. But then I have to charge as soon as I get home. It's always something. I never made the link between a spammer and a stammer before. That's a good one. You did. You made it today. National Scallywag. If you ever think F1 should open to any driver, do you think Formula W should be open to all drivers too? Yes, 100%. I don't think National Rally, I don't think there should be a female version of any sport, motorsport, because motorsport is irrelevant to the weight or the sex of the driver. There's no special seats or anything. There's nothing. There's no reason to restrict, other than the fact that women can be slightly lighter than men. But I've seen Jenson Button. Jenson Button was 70 kgs. Was he 65 or 68 kgs or something the last time he drove? There's no human female is much lighter than that, right? So you're not going to make a big difference between the two. Women aren't necessarily at that level, aren't stronger than men. They're not lighter than men, at that level. So there's no reason in motorsport why you would have a men's division, a women's division. It's not like power steering is heavy these days, right? There's no reasons for it. Like I say, it's different when it comes to a physical sport where physically men and women are competing. And yet I've played touch rugby, which is brilliant. Men and women play against one another. There is no tackling in it. You've got tags on you've got these little tags on a belt, like Velcro tags. When you pull off a tag, they've been tackled, they lose a point. And you pull off two tags and they've got to spend some time on the sideline. It's a brilliant game. If there's any touch rugby happening around your area, definitely go down and watch. Join in if you can. It's brilliant. Brian O'Donnell says, always going to get spamming clowns online with no life. Good Sunday service till next Sunday. Thank you very much. Computer Bob, 90% of charge home. Yeah, did that. 60% charge of people off-road parking, so they'll be the ones queuing. It's true. EV charging won't change electric prices. It's going to drop in the bucket. Homes, industry, the grid won't get affected at all. If you honestly believe that, David McCarthy, you are really, really short-sighted. If you don't think for 1 second that an electric company won't charge more to make more money, you're completely asleep at the wheel. Look at the price of electricity over the last 2 decades and tell me it hasn't just gone consistently up and never down. Despite us getting more and more electricity from renewable resources, the baseline price of electricity has either remained the same or gone up. So you're telling me that when there's more demand on the grid, it won't go up more? That just makes no sense. Think about what you just said and come back to me at a later date and let me know if you can figure out how electricity is not going to go up in price when there's a bigger demand on it all the time, seeing as it's gone up every year. Every year. And there's more demand now than there was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we weren't charging mobile phones 18 times a day. That draw wasn't there. That draw is there now, and electric cars now are adding to that draw. So the only way you can make electricity cheaper for yourself is to put solar panels in. Not really effective in Ireland. They're not, fairness, they're a little bit effective, but only in direct sunlight during summer. Or a wind farm out the back of your house, or a turbine or something on top of your house. You need planning permission for that. So it's pretty hard to get these things done, but there's ways. We will find ways over the next 10-15 years, but electricity companies will either disappear or will have to charge more for what you want. Look at fuel. I'm going to throw another example. Look at the price of petrol and diesel. Has petrol and diesel ever gone down in price? Really, sustainably gone back down where it was? I remember petrol going to €1 a litre. I remember it. I worked in a petrol station when it did it. That's why I remember it. I remember it being 98 cents a litre and it went to €1 and then €1.01 and then it's gone up ever since. It's always hovered in around 150 and it's stuck there between 150 and €2, always in that range, and we'll hit €2 eventually. Few more questions coming in. Most of them are just coming in. I'm heading off. Cheers. Thanks, Bob. Robert's time last. Great Sunday service. Cheers, Bob. Catch you next time. You're all absolutely brilliant to join me again this Sunday. I have no idea how many of you watched, but it seems like thousands of you turned up today. So it's been a really busy day. Thank you very much for everybody. All the new subscribers is really welcome. Thank you again. I'm glad you were able to support the channel in some way today. Some of you sent money by PayPal, some of you sent money by Super Chat. If you can support the channel any way at all, it's always more than welcome. I will be back next Sunday. I'm going to a couple of launches this week and the week after, if they go ahead, obviously with coronavirus and stuff shutting down, possibility of airports and things being shut down. We'll see as the day goes on. But if I go, you'll find me on Instagram, you'll find me on Facebook. I do the Sunday Service chat on Facebook as well. There is a Sunday Service group there. If you want to join that, you can. Multiple ways out of it. It's been absolutely great fun. I hope you will find me again next week at around the same time, 2 p.m. on Sunday on the Sunday Service. Whatever happens for the next week, Look after yourselves. Take it easy. Keep the head straight. Keep going forward. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.